episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on December the 11th, 2018. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, the leader of the dance troupe.
Well, it's definitely not caffeine rage, but
On today's show,
sure have the crippled dancing.
That's someone's fetish.
True, I mean, Rule 34.
Indeed. Anyways, on today's show, we will, of course, be discussing the games that we've played this week, or maybe more specifically that I've played this week. Epic's game store is pro-dev, but anti-consumer. We're going to go through it. The Bethesda failure Conga line continues with a couple of news stories related to, you guessed it, Fallout 76. Nintendo rolls back its content creator program to something for 2018. Boosting is now a criminal offense in South Korea. Steam has bugs and issues with adult content. Again. We'll have our weekly community corner with a listener question and our Steam Discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hi, Rage.
Hello.
How are you?
A little tired. Had a bit of a day. Went shopping and then made bread, so the shoulders are a little sore.
At this point, you might as well just open a bakery.
It's funny that you mentioned that because the lady down the hall, I'm making some bread for her Friday.
Nice. Is she paying you for it, or are you doing this out of the kindness of your heart?
No, she's paying me.
Fancy. Look at you.
Actually, I'm selling her bread twice. I'm selling her some this week, and I'm selling her some just before Christmas.
Nice.
Hey, $20 is $20.
Hell yeah, it is. $20 is awesome.
$20 for 4 loaves. Which, honestly, it's not that much work. It's just a lot of waiting around for most of my bread.
Yeah.
It's like 15 minutes of hard work.
Yeah. Yeah, that bread maker will help with some of that. Mm-hmm. But, with the bread maker, there are certain things you can't do.
Like specifically the bread that she wants is the cinnamon swirl that I make.
Yeah, you probably couldn't make the cinnamon swirl. You could make like cinnamon bread.
I could do the bread. I could do the dough itself, but yeah, still would have to do all the rolling out and dusting of flour or dusting of sugar and cinnamon, and everything else. So yeah, it would cut out a step, but it would still only make one loaf at a time.
Yeah, we're dear listener, we've had a discussion about Christmas goodies. I don't think that Craig caught that part. Maybe he did. I don't know.
Well, he caught about computer cookies.
He did catch the part about computer cookies. So, yeah, my wife went to my mom's house today and baked mini Christmas goodies. She came home with like 4 duffel bags worth full. Like, I mean, this stuff wasn't in duffel bags. It's like these really big open bags. They're like collapsible, but they're about the size of like, your average duffel bag when you think of one. She brought home 4 of those full of things. I'm very excited to put on 10 pounds in the next week because, I need to be fatter.
Oh, you're also fattening me up, and I definitely don't need it, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're getting 2 little round containers of goodies plus the bread maker.
Mm.
Which I guess technically I could say is like a Christmas present, but you've known about that for a while, and we just haven't mailed it because we're bad at that.
That's all right.
But it'll be getting mailed tomorrow because obviously if we wait to mail stuff, then the cookies or whatever. I don't know what's all in your goodie basket. I know that there was fudge made and cookies and many like small cakes and loaves of things.
If you keep this up, we're going to have to go into the elevator so I could get a snack. Have to hit the food court.
That'll be our fastest ever break. Excuse us.
At the 5-minute mark. Hang on.
Yeah. No, we should probably get into it this week. So, like I said when I was doing the intro, I'm the only one who's going to be discussing games this week.
Yeah.
Rage only had one on the list, and you said that you wanted some more time in it?
I haven't updated the games we played list on the docket.
Oh, okay.
I have 2 that I have a fair amount of time in, but one is in beta, and the other one I only got a couple hours in on a game that's 50 hours plus. So it's only just starting to get some of the mechanics in play, and it's the one that I plan on streaming more often. When I get around to streaming. But I've just it's a combination of taking a little bit of a break from gaming over the past about week, just to kind of reset, especially after hitting Warframe real hard. Just have to do a reset every so often. Plus, I got a couple projects going on. One that I'm under NDA on, so I can't talk about it just yet.
Ooh. Did you tell me about it and I didn't realize there was an NDA, or maybe you kept it hush-hush from me too?
No, I've kept it hush-hush completely.
Wow. Look at you.
Yeah,
Fancy.
I can't talk about it just yet. It's coming up, I think, mid-January or so. I'll have to look up the date exactly, but I can't talk about it at all outside of just saying that we'll be talking about it later, so...
Okay, so you can't even, say what the game is? It's
no,
a
I
very
can't.
strict NDA?
Very strict NDA.
Okay, gotcha.
And,
cool.
We've seen NDAs go crazy, and I don't want to get hit by one. Because you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know. We're teeny tiny, but if somebody hit us with something, we would be fucked. So, I get you. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, we don't want to go telltale, right?
Yeah, no, we do not want to do that. Or Bethesda.
Which is the reason why I'm probably not going to have the games I played next week, because doing my thing with that, plus my other little things I'm working on, and plus getting Game Club stuff going. So, it's going to be all you next week as well.
Sweet. Well, I don't think I'll be able to carry as long next week as I will this week. I'm not sure if I can do the full 60 myself. We'll just see how wound up I get.
Don't worry. I have faith in your stamina.
Why, thank you. But next week I just don't think I'll have the amount of games. I've got one game I'm holding in reserve. I've got 2 on my list for today. I've got one I'm holding in reserve completely, and then another one. Well, I guess I've got 2, but I've got more time in one of them than I do the other one, so I've got 2 games for next week already outside of Recitea for Game Club. But
so kick it off with the games you played?
Yeah, so the games I played this week, and just while I'm sitting here looking at it, I'm going to delete that off of...
Yeah, so I don't actually catch it on the... when I'm compiling the notes.
Yeah. So, I've got 2 games this week.
And don't worry, I will try to stream, but I can't promise. I did get some more time in that one.
Yeah. So, the first game I've got on my list is completely brand new. The second one is... revisiting an older game or not older, but a game we played this year already, but its expansion came out, the first one. But anyways, the first game is Planet Explorers. Planet Explorers is a sort of survival crafting. It is survival crafting, but less emphasis on the survival aspect, but I'll get into all that stuff. It's a survival crafting game that was developed by a fairly small team. It was in early access for a number of years, and then it officially released in 2016. I believe I first saw this game in 2012 or 2013. And at the time, I kind of had a point where I was extremely wary of early access, then kind of accepting of it, and now I'm back to being extremely wary of early access. So, this game just kind of, it wound up on my wish list, and it was way buried. And when I went through and reorganized...
I was about to say, ended up on your wish list. That's not exactly a great feat.
This game was put back on my wish list when there were less than 100 games on it. That's how long ago I saw this. But it had gotten buried. So when I went through and I reorganized it earlier and deleted a bunch of stuff, there's still 1,000 games on my wish list, but there were closer to 1,500 on there. So progress, I guess. I noticed it, and I was like, I'm going to put this up there, back towards the top, and when it goes on sale, I'll see about picking it up. And it went on sale just kind of randomly. Or no, it wasn't random. It was during the Thanksgiving sale that Steam did. It was it was around $6 or $7. I was like, you know what? That's perfect. I've got $6 or $7 sitting in my Steam account, or my Steam wallet. I'll buy that. So I picked it up. And this is probably, I've played a lot of this type of game. I love my mining. I love my survival crafting. I love my base building and management and my colony sim games. And I love, creating my custom items and, messing with all that stuff. And this game has all of that, and it's all done really well. This is genuinely probably the best survival crafting type game I've ever played, ever. It's got mixed reviews on Steam. I don't know, like, I mean, you know, it's been around for many years at this point. I don't know how many of them, you know, what their age is and things. A lot of the ones that I've seen where it talks about like bugs and issues, those have seemed to have been taken care of in patches.
55% mixed reviews on the recent reviews, 27 user reviews in the last 30 days.
Okay. I haven't looked at the recent stuff to see what people are saying.
It looks like it's mostly saying that it's still not living up to the promise that it's made.
Okay.
Which, since it's left early access by the look of it, is a valid point.
Okay. I don't know, like, what any promises were on this game. Like, I didn't really follow its development. I was like, oh, this looks neat. I'll put this on my wish list, and when it's out of early access, I'll play it. I'll talk about the bad stuff first. I don't have many gripes with this game, but some of the things that are wrong with it can be pretty big turnoffs to people. The biggest one being performance. This game is just pretty badly optimized. A lot of it seems to be CPU bound. It doesn't handle multi-threading very well, so it tends to bombard 1 or 2 CPU cores. And I've got an i7, so it does pretty okay, but there are definitely times where like you'll get into something and it'll just tank. The frame rate will tank. It's got some nasty pop-in issues that I can't seem to fix no matter what I do with the graphics settings, which does kind of suck. And it just generally doesn't look all that great. You know, it's okay, but it's certainly like not a looker. It's nothing to write home about in that department. The other major issue that I have with it is the controls are kind of fiddly. Some of the controls are like, just like generally playing it, it's fine. It plays, you know, a lot like an MMO, with the way that you control the camera and the way that your, some of your attacks and abilities and items work, that you can use. So I say abilities, it's not like spells or anything. It's like certain items give you things that you can do, and they're all like on hotbars and stuff. But the camera can be a little bit frustrating at times. Like once you get used to it, it's, you know, it's serviceable, but it's a little wonky. Like a lot of the controls are fiddly and wonky. The fiddliest is when it comes to actually designing your custom things, which again, I'll talk more about that later. But essentially you can custom create anything, like vehicles, weapons, items, buildings, clothes, like you name it. In the game, you can customize it and create your own things. And for some of that, it's okay. Like if you're building a custom building, to use like custom materials and designs and stuff, it's okay. But like trying to design custom weapons where all of the voxels are very teeny tiny, it can be very fiddly. So that can be frustrating.
Well, I was looking to see what else they've done, and I know their other game fairly well. I haven't played it yet.
What's their other game?
Portia.
I haven't played that.
It's pretty much one of the latest Harvest Moon likes.
Okay.
It's one of the more popular ones, or at least it was for a while. I'm not sure if it's still all that popular. But full 3D and pretty much sandbox, go do your thing, and pretty much what Harvest Moon is. You know, full of mini games and different events and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other big issue that I haven't tried it, so I don't know, but most people seem to say that the multiplayer is real bad. And it's very glitchy, and buggy if you're not the host. I haven't played it with anybody. I don't know if I'll even have anybody to play this game with. So I don't know if, cannot confirm or deny. But, if you want to play this game with your friends, most people say the multiplayer is bad. So don't know anything about that. And that's about all I can think of for bad stuff. I'm sure I'll think of like a couple of gripes as I go along and specifically like dive into each system. But other than that, I pretty much think everything else about this game is awesome. So it's a voxel based survival crafting game. There's tons and tons of those. But this game really sets itself apart from any of the other ones that I've ever played. So it's got single player. It's got 3 different modes. Story mode, like with an actual story that develops and as you progress through and gives you different gameplay aspects and things to deal with. There's the adventure mode, which is basically just like the basic survival crafting mode. And then there's build mode, which is just free build. It's got a hand created map, so there's no like randomly generated whatever. And not even the like material deposits and things like, like mining iron or whatever. Like those also are not randomly placed on each playthrough. Like, they might have been seeded when the map was created, but stuff's in the same place every time.
That seems so weird now, doesn't it?
I know, but it's great. It's awesome.
No, I'm not saying that's not awesome. I'm just saying it seems weird.
It does seem very weird. Like, that's not how things are done anymore. But yeah, everything's in the same place every time. And I really like just having a map to explore. You sort of get a feel for the geography. There's very distinct areas of the map. It's sort of like generally subdivided, how you would expect an RPG map to be. Like, this is the forest. This is the big lake. This is the desert. And, some other like major like biomes or regions. But inside of that, each area has, several very distinct landmarks and things that you can pick out. And I can generally navigate around the map without using the map on the parts I'm familiar with. I've explored about half of the map so far via just the story missions, because I've only really played it in story mode. Like, I checked out adventure mode and I was like, this is cool. And if the story mode just like ends, I might come back to adventure mode and play it. But I haven't, like, I don't want to spoil anything, so I don't know exactly how far I am in the campaign mode, but it feels like there's still a good chunk to go. Like, I feel like I'm maybe halfway through the story mode. So anyways, yeah, the map itself, handcrafted stuff was, was seeded. Everything's in the same place. It's really well designed. Got some good, memorable landmarks, topography, that sort of thing. But starting the career mode, I guess I'll just sort of talk through that, because the career mode or the campaign mode really introduces all of the gameplay mechanics at a good pace. It feels like I'm, as I start to get the hang of one thing, it's like, okay, you got this one thing, now here's the next thing. Like, it feels very well paced. So the basic story is you and a group of, colonizers were sent to this planet to colonize it, because it was, marked to be like it was marked as a garden world. So it would be perfect for human colonization. But something happens that nobody knows what it was. It causes your main colony ship to crash. And you start stranded in a life pod with someone who is injured. And the first couple of missions act as like a tutorial. She's telling you, like, hey, I need medicine. Go find these things to get me medicine. So it does feel very MMO-esque in the quest sense. Almost every quest is go fetch X number of Y material. There's some others that aren't. They typically are like build a thing or go kill a certain number of things, which the kill things could, definitely MMO. There's also a number of quests that are like, go explore this area and report back with what you find. And those get you in random situations. But anyway, so she gives you your first couple of quests, which are to basically get her medicine and craft your first weapon and things like that. And then you find a second group of survivors, and the story sort of starts to unfold. And they send you on some more missions, which introduce you a little bit more to the crafting system, and what you can do, ranged weapons, melee weapons, that sort of thing. And then it opens up for a little bit, and basically there are people at the camp that represent sort of the training missions for each thing. So there's a guy that's like the weapons guy, and the missions that he gives you teach you about mining, and like chopping down trees and gathering those sorts of materials and how to use them to craft the weapons, which you get recipes for completing quests, or they're called the recipes or blueprints. I don't, whatever. Yeah, you've played crafting games, so you get like the recipe for. Well, I assume most people here have played at least one crafting game, but you get the blueprint or whatever
maybe
for how to
mining
craft.
In it.
Maybe. But you get the blueprint.
Took you a moment.
I did. So you get the blueprint, and it tells you like have X number of Y materials, and you start to open up the sort of the tree of, building up to like gunpowder and things like that. Like you start seeing that, and you get all your basic tools. Then you complete a mission that basically they make you the leader. And then once that happens, you can recruit followers to just follow you around. You can have 2 at a time. And this is where the RPG sort of stuff starts to come in. You can fully equip them. Different people have different abilities that you can utilize while they're in your party. So like someone might be better with a bow, and you can like have them use their bow and do like a ranged ability. Some of them have like crafting or gathering, so you can like click the button and they'll wander off for a little while and go craft materials. The helpers are awesome. Like if you start chopping down a tree, if they've got axes in their inventory, they'll come help you chop down the tree and you chop it down faster. If you start like digging, they'll come over and they'll help you. You can sort of direct them around a little bit. It's not like a full command, like go here and do X thing, but you can just like, put your reticle on someone and there's some basic commands like attack or come back and defend, that sort of thing. And there's no like there's no stats or leveling up. Well, there's stats, but there's no leveling up. All of your stats come from your gear. And then you get some bonuses, like if you're well fed or if you take vitamins, or you can be tired if you work for too long without sleeping. The survival mechanics are pretty good. They're definitely not overbearing. I would say they're dialed in pretty perfectly. The planet has a 26-hour day, and you can be like you technically never have to sleep. Like the game lets you go forever without sleeping, but when you get to a certain threshold of not sleeping, all of your stats take a hit. So, you're weaker, you have less health, you're slower, all that stuff. But you can stay up for a full 26 hours before that kicks in. So it's not like pressuring you to sleep every 3 minutes. And a full day takes about 2.5 to 3 hours of real time. So, you only have to sleep every 2 to 3 hours. And then you've got a food meter, which drains pretty slowly. If you eat 1 meal a day, you'll survive. So, you only have to really stop and eat every 2 to 3 hours. And like when you starve, you start to take
what's the
time
ratio?
It's...
Or I guess I should say the time scale.
Well, it's a 26-hour day in the game, and that's about 2.5 to 3 hours in real time.
All right.
I'm not exactly sure what that scale breaks down to.
So a pretty decent one.
Yeah.
What's always irritating is whenever there's a survival game that goes more hardcore onto the survival aspect, but then they have the time scale be so short that you're constantly eating and drinking. It was the problem that We Happy Few had for quite a while. I'm not sure if they ever fixed it, but pretty much you were pill popping and eating like crazy, but all the NPCs seemed like they were on a different scale, according to all the reviews I saw.
Yeah, it's got this dialed in really well. If you eat basically 1 meal a day, you're not going to starve. If you eat 2 to 3 meals a day, you'll start getting like a well-fed bonus, which gives you some extra stamina and stuff.
And doing more, and you start to get a gut.
Actually, yes. If you eat more than that, you get. It doesn't like make your character look fatter, but it's called the Overeating Penalty. And you move slower and things like that.
See, more games need to be like GTA San Andreas, where if you eat too often at the fast food, your character gets to be a fat slob that can't run.
That would be funny, but it slows you down. When you overeat, you move a little bit slower. Your stamina bar drains faster, and you take a small hit to your health, like your maximum health. And then you can also eat healthy food and unhealthy food. And eating lots of healthy food gives you stat boosts, and then eating too much unhealthy food gives you negatives, gives you penalties. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's not like eating like one, because like a lot of the rations are considered unhealthy because it's basically all like bread and sugar. So like if you eat too many rations, then you get some penalties. But if you just eat like 1 or 2 every day to survive, like to just make sure you don't starve, then it doesn't like penalize you.
I thought this was Planet Explorers. Well, I don't have any games to talk about this week, so I may as well just make puns.
Yeah, that's fine. And then if you eat like a bunch of like salads or like natively grown food, like that you grow yourself later, like you start to get bonuses if you eat it enough. But yeah, I mean, that system is, I think, pretty well dialed in. I'm honestly not sure if there's any changes that I'd make to it. Like, it doesn't constantly like warn you that you're like gonna die or whatever. It doesn't constantly warn you that, you know, oh my god, you're at 75% status. You should probably think about maybe having a sandwich. Like, it doesn't pester you. It's just like, you know, it flashes red when you're like to nothing, and your character might yawn and be like, oh, I'm kind of sleepy or I'm kind of hungry, and like that's it. It doesn't keep pestering you about it.
Yeah, I like systems like that, or the ones where it's a buff that goes away that starts to make things more difficult instead of racking up a ton of penalties really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to try or be in a really bad way to get a whole bunch of penalties. Like, it takes a while for that to happen. And because you get stat boosts from your armor, too, like, or the armor and clothes that you wear, you can survive a little bit longer once you get a little bit farther. So, like, some of the missions take you away from your colony for a while, so you might not bring enough supplies, or maybe you just don't want to, like, stop and gather some more stuff if you run out. And your armor can help mitigate some of those penalties for a while. It's a really good system for that. And also you have to make sure your followers rest and eat as well, and that's automatic. Everyone at your colony, which again I'll talk more about that later, takes care of themselves as long as you've got enough systems set up for them to be self-sufficient. And then the people that are directly following you just like put some food in their inventory, and when they get hungry they eat. And every time you sleep, they sleep. And then if their bar bottoms out, then they'll like pass out on the ground next to you. But typically that doesn't...
Do they at least cuddle?
Yes. Typically, though, that doesn't happen because, like I just said, when you sleep, they sleep. So you pretty much have to be exhausted yourself before they'll pass out. But once you go through sort of all of the basic tutorials for things in the story, it boots you over to the next area, and you start encountering higher level enemies, higher level quests, people who give you higher level gear, and it's just sort of you building the story. You're learning more about the ship and potentially what happened. You start learning about the history of Earth and Mars and some of the other colonies that exist. And, you know, obviously it's sci-fi, so Earth and Mars hate each other.
Of course.
And so there's like suspicion of foul play. And then you go on, you know, further on, and you run into the aliens that are on the planet. And it's like, oh my god, we didn't know that there were aliens on the planet. Maybe could do this. And everyone's like, no, they're very primitive. And
spoilers, they did it.
Well, I don't know if they did it or not, but come to find out, there is like, spoiler alert, major spoiler alert. Come to find out, there is like a major, or there's like a long dead race on this planet, and they have like giant robots and completely fully automated like factories and ships and stuff that you discover later on. So pretty sort of standard sci-fi stuff, but it's really nice to see it in one of these survival crafting games to give some context and some meaning to what you're doing.
So basically, it's what happens to the world after your character leaves in Factorio.
Yeah, pretty much. And when you meet the guy who was supposed to be the head honcho, there's sort of like a mutiny, and they're like, no, we don't want you to be the leader. We want player character to be the leader. And so he basically is like, okay, you're going to be the leader of the Earth colonies. Here's how to build a colony. And he gives you all of the basic starting stuff to build a colony, and then there's more recipes you can develop or get later to build it.
You know, call me crazy, and you know, this is a video game trope, so, video game logic kicking in. Why is it always they elect the least qualified possible to lead all the colonies and then have to teach how to lead?
Yeah, good point. Because I mean, this guy, like, he should be the leader. Like, it's not his fault what happened. He was like a mayor or I don't remember if he was a mayor or a governor or something, but he was like a politician back on Earth, who was also a scientist. And so he was like chosen to lead this mission. But after something goes wrong and the ship crashes, instead of, you know, listening to him, everyone's like, no, he sucks. We don't want him to be our leader. Like, it was his fault that the ship crashed.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to deal with this, I would just read political news in real life.
So they make you the leader, and you get all the basics to create a colony, and you can build your own colony. And there is no restriction. You can build your colony anywhere. And you can move it whenever you want. I don't know if you can build multiple colonies, but basically you can just tear it all down, move it, and set up shop somewhere else. And everyone who you have got living at your colony will just show up once you rebuild it and put all the necessary stuff back in place. But
once you let them out of their crates.
Yeah. But so this is really where I started messing with the building system, which is pretty standard. You can build things in blocks or in voxels. And when you build in blocks, it places, just like any other, Minecraft or Space Engineers or whatever. When you build in voxels, you've got sort of a paintbrush that you paint the terrain with, and you can build it up a little more like how No Man's Sky does it. I know you haven't played that Rage, but I know several of our listeners play No Man's Sky, and you just sort of shoot out the material, and it sort of builds until you stop. Each have their own uses, but I definitely prefer the block building because I like things to be precise. And there are some basic things you can do, like you can have it, like with the voxels, you can tell it to sort of shoot out in shapes, so you can, build like more organic-looking ramps or things like that, or maybe roofs for your houses, if you choose to build those. I went with basically just a giant military-style compound. I had 40,000 units worth of like granite and marble from all the mining I had done. Because, that's what I do. So I went out into the ocean and built this platform, almost like an oil derrick, with a huge bridge that goes over to the land, and put my colony essentially on an oil derrick. And then I built it up and built a huge roof. I went way overboard. Yeah. But went way overboard. Built this giant base, way bigger than the stuff that I had at the time, because I knew that I could expand. And then you can build like defense turrets, and you have to defend your base. Building a base attracts creatures to it.
Oh, sorry, it was sea
what
land,
is this?
Not ocean land.
The oil derrick that they petitioned, what was it, the UN to make them a country? Yeah. But so you do have to build static defenses for your base, and you can have colonists be guards, but I mean that's really the biggest waste of colonists. So build static defense turrets and things, because it attracts animals, and it might attract aliens. I built my base very far away from where all of the aliens are, because the map is kind of segregated in that way, like that very classic sort of old school RPG. Like, this area has X type of enemy, and they are Y level, that sort of thing. So I built as far away from the aliens as I could, and I don't know if the map's going to change as I progress, but built it out in the water. Defense turrets to keep the birds and the sharks from attacking it or killing them when they do, and then a big old land bridge, or a big old bridge out to the land. And the colony management system is fairly deep, but it's not very fiddly. It's pretty simple to understand and get set up. In the beginning, you have to do a lot of work on it, manually assigning people to it. But once they've got a little bit of experience as a colony or as a colonist, you can assign people to be leaders. They're called VIP colonists, and they become the leaders of your colony. And they have things that you can tweak, but basically you can just leave them alone, and they will run your colony. Initially, you have to provide all the resources for food and all the resources for power generation and things like that. But eventually, you can get a station that's like a recycling plant, and then you can assign people to go out, and they'll gather resources for you. And it completely automatically manages itself to keep itself running, so all of your colonists don't die. And then you can come and you can tweak it later. Like if you need specific resources and you don't want to go mine them yourself, or if you want to do something and you want to go do a couple missions while you wait, you can like specifically assign colonists to do stuff for you, and you can sort of set up the leaders queue, and they will go out and gather and refine whatever you want. The colony is the only way to repair and refuel or recharge vehicles. So you get one vehicle early on to help you with your early exploration of the map. But it lasts for a little bit of time, but if it gets destroyed, you can't replace it. And if you lose, like the batteries get destroyed for it or something like that, you can't use it anymore. There's a lot of mobility options as a character. So I don't really use vehicles all that much, but now that I'm getting later on in the game, I could see some definite benefit to using like something sort of like either an attack helicopter for giant robots or a jet or something like that. Like that could be really handy, or maybe a tank. But I mean, you can really, like, anything you can dream up, you can build. Which this is where that really gets introduced. You get shown the sort of player creation system early on, but there's no point to use it. I think it's just an introduction because, it's like a menu option. You can go in and you can, do a couple of custom made things, but you don't really have any resources or anything. It's kind of fiddly, so I left it for a while. But when you get to the colony management section, it becomes a lot more, I wouldn't say important. I don't feel like I have to use it. But there is one mission in particular where you're going to rescue some people, and they're like, well, you can use these parts to build a helicopter, or you could like build a ramp or something to get over there and rescue those people. And I was like, I don't want to fiddle with a helicopter right now, so I'll build a ramp. But after that, I went back to my colony and really messed around with that system. So when I say you can custom create anything you want, you genuinely, literally can custom create anything you want. Like I said earlier, like clothes, armor, weapons, vehicles, drones. There's drones in the game. Mm-hmm. You can build robots. You can build airships, helicopters, planes. There's like a pre-made thing for a battleship, like a space battleship. So, but I haven't really messed with that. I have no idea what the scale of that is. It's a resource cost for like even the basic thing that it gives you to start with is ridiculous. So that's one of those things I'm not sure how much more the game is going to scale up, but you can design tools, everything. And you can go in and you can not only custom design it in terms of like the way it looks, but you can choose what materials it's made out of. You can create composites. So I've gotten to the point where I've got all of the basic materials in the game unlocked. Everything from, dirt and wood up to diamonds and gold and silver. And I like the way that it handles gold and silver too. Because it's like you can make gold armor, but instead of it being like, actual gold armor, it's like it's really high-tech battle armor. Like that's how the gold and silver works. So I thought that was pretty cool. Around like steel armor is where it stops looking like, what you think of like traditional body armor, and then it starts to look more like power armor, which I think is a nice representation of like, okay, you're making things with gold and silver, so that means you're using like microchips and things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. But you can make custom composites that are much, much stronger than anything else. And you can choose how many resources to invest in the composite. So you can have sort of different levels of your custom composites for, different attributes like plus defense or plus attack or different looks. Like your custom composites can change the way that your weapon looks with like sort of a sheen or a finish to it. And you can build stuff, from scratch. There's a few basic parts to get you started. Like if you want to build a sword, you have like a sword hilt with a crossguard, and that's it. And then you can design the blade however you want. If you want to build a gun, you'll have some basic stuff like maybe the receiver or a slide or, a trigger. And then you build from there to make it how you want. Vehicles, the same thing. Like you can start with a cockpit or, some wheels or something and build up from there and just place the parts on it that you need. And then over on the side, like it tells you like how many materials you're going to need. And some of the things like for vehicles, especially, it's like, okay, so I want guns to be on there. So I'm going to attach like 3 guns. So then you have to craft like the three guns that it needs. But just for like the basic structure of it, it's not like you have to craft 40 pipes and 50 sheets of steel. It's just like you'll need X amount of materials. And so you go through, you design this whole thing. You can paint them, put logos on them. You can save templates to build off of for stuff. You can save all of your custom materials so you don't have to redo that every time. And then there's just like, it says export. I wish that it would say something more like create or craft, because when you hit export, it tries to craft it. And if you don't have the materials, it's like, oh, we can't craft this. So then you have to like make sure you save it and then come back into the menu. Or just have build
or something.
Yeah, that would be much better. But, it says export. So I mean, I blew through that pretty quickly. It's extremely complex and complicated and fiddly. It's not like... The biggest complaint I have with that is trying to move the camera around is frustrating as hell, because it sort of focuses on a point, and you can like click a point and then the camera focuses on that point, and you can spin it around, zoom in or out, and it's not made clear, but there's this sort of blue like grid or sheet, or and that is where your building blocks are placed from the start. And it sort of sounds kind of simple as I explain it, but there's no good tool tips. The tutorial for this is crappy. This game's not super popular. There's not a lot of tutorials out there online. And maybe if I'd looked a little bit harder, I could have found it, but I was like bound and determined to figure it out on my own because I'm stubborn. So I finally figured out, like, okay, the blue grid is the building plane, and there's like a separate bar you have to go to, and you drag that around, and that's how you move the blue plane. Once you start building, it's not really that much of a problem because you could build off of what you're building on. But the first thing I was trying to design was a revolver. Like, I wanted to make a revolver because revolvers are cool, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, how the hell do I start, like, actually, like, building, the barrel and all of that stuff? Like, every time I try and place something, like, it's just down on the trigger or, like, randomly, like, on this blue thing. And then, like, well, maybe the blue thing is where I build on. But I couldn't find a way to move it. It took me a while. So very fiddly. But, once you get the hang of it, it's one of those things like,
so it's the Dwarf Fortress model where it's fiddly, but very deep and interesting once you figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, I mean, this system is, I think where probably 50% of the development time went. There's so much you can do with it. I've not even really scratched the surface. I've designed a couple of weapons and one vehicle. But people can upload stuff to the Steam Workshop. So I've went and I've looked at a lot of the things that people have created, and there's some really interesting and intense stuff on there. But, I mean, the stuff you create with your custom composites is way better than anything that I've found in the game so far. So yeah, let's see. Colony management, crafting, the world.
Don't think we're going to get to your other game today.
How long have I been talking? I don't know how long I've been talking.
The timer says 42 minutes already.
Damn. I mean, there's just a lot to this game. I don't really think there's anything else that I really need to cover. Without really going into detail on the story, I've hit all the basic game mechanics, some of the deeper systems. It's incredible. If you can get past the performance issues, performance hiccups, and the fact that it doesn't look very pretty, this game has got so much to offer. There's a couple of systems that I'm aware in the game, but I haven't got to yet. There's some kind of monorail system. There's at least one other colony on this planet. And I suspect at some point in time they're going to be like, hey, build a monorail to connect our two places.
Are they going to start singing the monorail song to do it?
I hope so. But, there is a fast travel system. You can create like travel points and things like that. The economy is all food-based. I think that's pretty neat because it's, a colony, so money's not going to be a thing. Everyone's just trying to survive, but you trade food for everything. So that's pretty cool. But otherwise, yeah, MMO feeling, survival crafting game that, as far as I can tell, basically lets you do anything. But it does it all really well. It's amazing. I love this game. It was contender for Game of the Year for me until I played my second game.
Yeah, which we want to get into that because we just rolled over 44 minutes. So, and I know this one will push us into the 2-hour mark, knowing you.
I don't mind to save it. If you want to save it, I can save it.
We can always save it.
Okay, why don't we do that? Because I'm not sure I'm going to have very much to talk about for games next week, and you're not thinking you're going to have any, right? So,
yeah, just because of things going on. Sorry.
We'll do that. It's fine. So I guess you guys will have to wait one more week to hear about BattleTech, the Flashpoint expansion.
It gives you time for it, right?
It's really good. It's really, really good, guys. Like, I love it. It fixes a lot of problems I had, but I'll tell you more about it next week. Bye.
Speaking of fixing problems, Epic has a lot of problems to fix.
Oh, yes, they do. My throat's doing okay. I was doing a good job sipping on my tea. What's left of it's cold now, though. That's sad.
Oh, so shall we start on our news and talk about Epic Games Store?
Let's do it. You're very, very angry about this, so I'm going to let you sort of take the lead.
This is such a clusterfuck of a launch that if I didn't know Bethesda already had their launcher, I would have suspected Bethesda to be behind it.
Okay.
They do not have reviews on their store at all. No community functions at all. Not even something as basic as a fucking search bar. And the guy that was that is still behind Steam Spy, that's the director for this, which turns out he is a Steam Spy now.
Yes, that would be
worked on this for years. What the hell were they spending all that time on? So, let's just start on the positives on this, all right, and then we'll dive back into the negatives. All right, the Epic Store. I've been doing a fair amount of reading in between everything, so this is part of the reason why I don't have a lot of games to play, because there was a lot to dive into on this. I mean, the show notes are going to have, half a dozen different links?
Yeah, I think there were 7.
So, the positives on this, which I borrowed from last week's topics when we didn't get around to that, was mostly on the developer side of things, where they're being very generous with the pay cut to developers that come to the Epic Store, with a 88-12 revenue split in the developer's favor, depending on the engine that the game uses, because if it's the Unreal Engine, they'll waive that fee if it's on the Epic Store. So it definitely makes sense why developers are so happy about this, because that is a huge cut, even after Valve has actually just before they announced the Epic Store launching, Valve talked about redoing their tiered their pay cut from the 30% model to a tiered system where if you're below a certain threshold, it's 30%. Then it goes down to 25, then 20. If you go over certain tiers, but there's no other incentive. So, if you're running Source, you're still not getting a deduction on that pay cut. So it definitely makes sense that developers are flocking to this and wanting in. And that's why I'm saying that it is pro-developer. And really the only pro-consumer thing about this that I've seen is that they're giving away a free game every 2 weeks, starting actually the day the podcast goes live with Subnautica, of all things, because that's a pretty big game, and I don't think it's ever had a giveaway like that, or even really had a really deep sale.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I've been wanting Subnautica for a while, so.
And then every 2 weeks, a new game, but there's no clear indication on if it's free to keep or free to play for that section. So,
Ooh, interesting.
I have it, with everything else about this being such a utter clusterfuck, I have no idea which way it's going to fall. So, it may be just a free trial period of all things. I guess we'll have to wait and see on this. So, that's the good things. So, let's see. How about them having severe issues with their refund policy? At least on launch, they are supposedly streamlining it, but it seems like all the agents haven't gotten the memo yet. I actually sent you I told you what the requirements were, and I'm happy to try to find it on here because a lot of links. Okay, so what's the deal with the Epic Game Store refunds? Okay, some of this is pretty bog standard. This was the launch version that they've since streamlined a bit, but there's not a real saying of what they streamlined outside of just doesn't have to be all of it. So pretty standard things. The original display ID. So, the equivalent of the Steam login name or that sort of thing. But then you start getting some weird things like your public IP addresses. That's not a static thing for most people. Is it? I mean, every time.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, every time my modem resets, That'll pull the new IP address immediately, let alone, just throughout the day, doing a refresh there. I'm not sure how often it would, but having to get the IP addresses is weird. The date that you created your account, so better remember that, folks. An invoice ID for any Epic purchase. So, fairly standard, but that should be in their records. You shouldn't have to provide that outside of, the particular refund you're looking for. The locations, city, state, and province where you made your purchases on your account. Okay, little odd, but The original display name, which I talked about. The last 4 digits on the first payment card used on your account. So better keep your old credit cards. The date of your last login, which is also a little weird. Then the names of any PlayStation, Switch, Twitch, or Xbox accounts connected to your Epic Games account, which in retrospect, it seemed a little weird to me at first, especially when I talked to you about it, but the Epic Game Store is a platform anonymous, so it's selling games on multiple platforms. So that makes a little bit more sense to me now, but at the same time, they really shouldn't need that much information, especially since this isn't account recovery. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
If this was account recovery, some of this information, fine. But this is a refund. This just yells to me that they're trying to, or at least were trying to make it so obtuse and so bothersome that someone goes to file for a refund, see the reams of information that they have to get, and just say, fuck it, I'll just keep the game. Right? I mean, that's the only reason I could think of outside of just them being utterly fucking incompetent about building a system.
Yeah.
And then we have the entire lack of user reviews and the lack of user forums, which the Steam Spy guy talked about how developers actively hated them and found them toxic. Yeah, okay, that's fair, but at the same time, it's not like game developers have been actually releasing complete works lately. Even when you talk about AAA developers. And yet,
I think especially when you talk about AAA developers at this point, but that's another discussion for another day, probably.
Yeah, or in about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play.
But user forums, while they can be filled with a lot of anger and a lot of outrage and a lot of toxicity, they're also user support. And I realize that the way Valve does it can be abused, but at the same time, giving the developers a way to moderate as well as global moderators allows gamers to come together and try to voice out problems, and it allows them to communicate something screwed up. Like I mentioned while you were talking about Planet Explorers, I went and looked at the recent reviews and was able to see, particular issues, that it didn't live up to all the promises they made. So it seems like the early access, they may have left some things out on the roadmap, talked about performance issues. These are important damn things. If I'm looking at the store page, all that is marketing. I'm not seeing what actually is the internet is thinking about this game. Yes, game reviews can be toxic. Yes, there can be review bombs for stupid things. I mean, just look at some of the things that hit Kerbal Space Program a while back, if you want an example of that, where they used the wrong pronoun in I believe it was the Korean or the Chinese translation, and it pissed a lot of people off. So they started review bombing it because, and this was in the translation of how hard can rocket science be anyway on the main menu. That was the reason why I was getting review bombed. Okay, so that's a bad example, or I should say an example of how reviews can be manipulated, but that's the exception, not the rule. Yes, there's a lot of joke reviews. Yes, there's a lot of trash reviews. But the general trends of reviews, if you see a game that is running a 30% approval rating on Steam, and there's a lot of, just low effort downvotes, but it's still that low with a lot of votes or a lot of reviews. Typically, there's a reason for that, right?
Yeah. Typically.
And
so
since there's no way to voice, what's going on outside of searching for other reviews, which, let's be perfectly honest, people are lazy. If it's not on the store page, it's they're the average person. I don't think is going to bother looking at a review or looking for a review. If it's on the page itself, they'll look at it. But I mean, even Valve has problems with people actually scrolling down, so they have to pile a lot of information at the title of the page. I mean, that should tell you something. Anyway, you were saying?
So I just went through the whole rigmarole to get the store, because I've got the Epic Games launcher, because, I play Fortnite Battle Royale, or not Battle Royale, Save the World mode occasionally. I haven't played it in a while, so it needed to update, and then I had to re-verify all of my shit, and then it had to download the new new store. And so I'm actually looking at it now.
Yeah, it doesn't look all that streamlined, does it? To me, it looked very busy and gave, and at the same time gave no information.
So
it also has the problem that that Valve used to have. To be fair, they don't exactly enforce that rule, but there's a lot of games that don't have game screenshots. It's concept art or it's cutscenes. You don't know what you're buying into.
So I actually think that it's fairly streamlined. It's definitely got some busyness to it, but I think this follows a very sort of modern design aesthetic. I've just seen lots of stuff with this when it comes to designing sites and things. I had my website that I had for a while, and all of the templates and suggestions were be modern, and this is a lot of stuff I see from that. I agree with you. I'm a big fan of old school web design where you have an appropriate amount of white space and things like that. But I do think this fits the modern description of streamlined and, aesthetically pleasing and all of that. A lot of that is certainly personal taste. But then actually looking at the store, as you go to scroll through it,
it's a clusterfuck, huh?
This is not helpful. Not helpful.
Yeah, and there's no search option.
This would be okay if the thing, at the very top, did what Steam did with, search, and it had, its sort of highlights. And then, yes, you could scroll, and you could see all of this stuff, and that's fine and dandy.
I mean, if they don't implement it soon, as they, snipe different indie games, which is something else that is highly pissing me off, they are going to have a huge discovery issue. And indie games we're talking about, Valve having a problem with it. At least Valve has a way to search the damn store.
Yeah, the only positive to that is that there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I guess 17 games if you count Fortnite. Oh, no, wait, Fortnite's in this scroll, so yeah.
For now.
Did I say 16 games on the store for now? So
yeah, but it's going to be a problem soon.
Easy to search all of those. They have this interesting thing at the bottom, which I think is pretty neat. You can download all of their mod editors for various games. Ark, Pixark, Robo Recall, Conan Exiles, Bus Simulator, Hello Neighbor. There's a few others here. Unreal Tournament. Some of them are smaller, stuff I don't recognize.
Yeah, but anyway.
But they've removed a lot of the set. Okay, so it started immediately trying to download Fortnite. This is a huge download. I don't know what this is. But I can't tell it I want this to be not on my C drive because that's my small SSD that's my boot drive.
But that's where you
all
install...
of those options are gone for managing games.
There's also one other thing that's not on the download screen that you'll probably find amusing.
Okay.
ETA.
ETA for downloads?
Yeah, you don't know when the fuck it's going to finish downloading.
Let me look at this.
At least according to the PC Gamer article, because I haven't downloaded the store yet. They may have updated it since then, but...
Let me take a look at that. If I go all Robo-y for a second, and I'm sorry.
But the fact that you can't change the library folder is also a problem. They could have put it in, though. And so...
No, I'm going to pause this again. It doesn't. It just says downloading and a percentage, and then you can go click on your downloads, and it pulls up. I kind of like this. It's got a download, read, and write as it's like unpacking. Like it's got a graph that shows you.
Yeah, but Valve does that as well.
But this is separated out
Not
better.
true.
It looks better than Valve's does. Easier to read, but yeah, it gives you no ETA or anything.
I mean, you may be able to maybe estimate it with the percentage, but that's just stupid. Right?
Yeah. I don't know what this is. Operations?
That was a board game for kids.
It's like a bar. Have you ever seen like Defraggler or something like that, where you had like the little squares? It looks like that. I don't know what this is. Is it just like writing blocks to one of my drives, and it's a visual representation of that?
Maybe. Gotta admit that the defragger was mesmerizing back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, so I wasn't the only one.
No, I used to enjoy watching it go for a while. I should probably run some defragging on my actual hard disks. It's been a while since I've done any maintenance on them. SSDs are like low to no maintenance.
Yeah, SSDs actually are harmed by defragging.
Yeah, because you only have a set number of writes and rewrites, so defragging thrashes that.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, speaking of thrashing, how about when the EU wakes up and sees what Epic Games does? Because they don't comply with the GDPR either.
I didn't read this one. What's going on with this one?
It's something about how they're retaining information and also passing it off to their friends and allies and companies. It's just, I have to admit, I don't understand the nitty gritty of it, but I am trusting this article saying that Epic Games Store fails to comply with GDPR regulations and may face trouble in EU. If you are located in the EU or the Epic Games entities located in the EU process your information in the EU, then you have the right to restrict or object our processing of your personal information. The right to restrict the processing arises only in limited circumstances. For example, if you think we are processing inaccurate information. In addition, if we are required to restrict processing, but the requirement is temporary, you may not be permanently obligated to adhere to your request. What does that mean? For those who aren't aware, I'm just reading the article verbatim because it's pretty short. If you're unaware, the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, was a law that applied throughout the whole European Union. And you may remember back in May, I think it was, when a lot of sites suddenly updated their terms of service. That's not from the article, but I think that's about when it was. It demands strict transparency between consumer and corporation. Consumers have the right to not have their data shared with advertisers, request for all existing data that the companies have on them, and other rights that the consumers are obligated to in light of major data scandals like Facebook's Cambridge Analytica. The above states that if you do not wish to have your personal information shared with advertisers, Epic Games will have to take it under consideration, and even suspension of data sharing may be only temporary, or they have the right to deny that request, which breaks the GDPR. Oh, what the fuck, right?
There's one more bit underneath it.
Yeah, I saw it when I scrolled down. The site has a little bit of an odd formatting, at least in Firefox.
Yeah. Companies like Sony and Apple have been made to comply with GDPR, and those companies are titans compared to Epic Games. How Epic Games hopes to get away with such an act is unfathomable and will soon face backlash from EU consumers. So, yeah, if Google and Apple... Sony and Apple have been forced to comply, which I think they should. Governments
obviously
overpower companies, at least anywhere except America. Actually, that's not true. There's other places like Russia and some South American
Why are you
countries.
repeating yourself?
Touche. But, in real countries, the government has more power than companies. So,
but the thing is that you also see, companies fighting the government. I mean, just look at EA trying to fight Belgium over their loot boxes because their FIFA cards are a large chunk of their revenue because people just can't help themselves with games, it seems.
Yeah.
But even continuing on, they also have a problem with their regional pricing. Let's see. For example, this is what currency is this? I didn't actually catch the currency on this.
Which article is it that you're at?
It's the one from so many links on this. I should have it is the one above the GDPR, I think.
Oh, okay. I see it now.
Yeah.
Yep. It even says it on there. Something about regional pricing. I just missed that.
Yeah. RP, which I'm not sure what that one is, but for example, Shadow Complex is over twice the price, right at twice the price. Hello Neighbor, it goes for 139,999 RP, which probably rubles or something. I just don't want to. I don't want to stop on this. But it's 458,720.
That is the Indonesian rupee. Rupee?
Well, so
do you pronounce that rupee?
Well, I wasn't sure which one. So 3 times as much as Steam's. So the regional pricing is also screwed up.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize that wouldn't have a big impact for most of our listeners, but at the same time, makes you wonder, huh?
Yeah, and oftentimes in a lot of countries like that where the exchange rate is so bad, the games will actually be cheaper because, just different economies and valuation of things.
Yeah, or just regional pricing in general. And that's why Valve had to lock down a lot of their gifting because particularly Russian just bot farms, farming up a bunch of Steam trading cards, buying cheap games and selling them to launder the money. Let's see. Red Dead Redemption is also has a bit of a price hike from the looks of things. It's just what the hell, right? Or is this just a different store?
Yeah, all of this is no bueno.
Let's see. Is there anything we've missed?
Wait. Shop games and mods? Maybe they're talking about the mod. Oh, yeah. Okay. Mod editor. That has to be it.
I think so. Let's see. Miscellaneous images. Oh, here's another thing. Okay. In order to not get spammed by email when you buy something, it's an opt-out system. Otherwise, they will share your email address and you'll get emails from the developers.
Oh.
That's on the PC Gamer article. By default, buying Hades it will put you on a list for whatever marketing spam the developer or publisher wants to send you. You can check the box to opt out. But I just want to buy games without risking ending up with a bunch of random mailings. Let's see. Clicking on any game banner in your library takes you to its store page. Minor thing, but why? The no to ETA and downloads, and they also covered the no search. It's just, what the hell, right? I mean, what?
Oh yeah, there's not a little thing for play. Like you have to, if you click on it, it takes you to the storm page, or you have to click the little play button. That's stupid. This store is bad, and you should feel bad.
See why I thought, if I didn't know better, I thought it would be made by Bethesda.
What? Why is there a whole blog page about the Unreal Engine on their storefront? The Unreal Engine is a tab, and the first thing on the tab is a blog Answer Hub, forums, wiki, roadmap, blog for the Unreal Engine. Like, I get that they sell, the Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm.
But I assume that this storefront is designed for consumers, not for developers.
Well, with it being so anti-consumer, who knows, right?
Maybe. This is weird. I don't like this very much.
I've converted you.
I mean, you didn't really have to do much to convert me. Aside from the fact that it is shiny and shiny is cool, everything about this storefront is bad.
That's not saying that it's unfixable, but it's such a rough state.
Yeah. Just gonna minimize that.
It's just unfathomable how something could launch in this state, especially after supposedly being in development for years. Just where did they spend the time?
On making it shiny.
Well, Mythbusters did prove that with enough elbow grease and the right technique, you can polish a turd.
Yep. And that's what they did here. They polished that turd hardcore.
So, any thoughts?
I mean, you're very angry about this, as I can tell.
Well, I hate it. I hate the anti-consumer nature of it.
Yeah.
And I kind of wished that we could resurrect Total Biscuit to throw at this, but I think he would just explode.
He would die again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like the way that this looks. I don't like it. Overall, I just don't like it. It's not good, guys. You could have done way better. What were they thinking?
Well, we didn't even talk about the games themselves, did we? I mentioned it, but they've been poaching the games. So, so during the Game Awards, which I admit I only watched part of because I got a little bored of them awarding every single award to Red Dead Redemption 2. So,
yeah, and that game sucks dick. I know I'm an extreme minority on that. I'm considering making it the worst game of the year, but I realize I'm the minority, so I think that would just me being an ass. An obstinate ass. But I don't.
So welcome to being the minority. So for me, it's Skyrim.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I think a lot of people now with Fallout 76 is, which I realize that would be a good segue, but we're gonna keep going. Are having some a sort of a retroactive look at Bethesda's catalog, and are starting to take a little bit more of a critical eye to their games. Rightfully so, I might fucking add.
I agree. But I've never been someone who's been disillusioned with them. I love the Elder Scrolls series, but it's more about what the series is itself, not one particular game. So, but when it comes to the games, I'm not oh my god, they're amazing. What are you talking about? All of these problems. It's yeah, no, the games have lots of problems. Absolutely. I just still love them despite those problems.
They're playable if you throw 50, 100 mods at them. And of course the consumer patch.
the most important one of all.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, during the Game Awards, there were several games that announced either being Epic Game Store exclusives or timed exclusives for a year. And a couple, I know Satisfactory was one, actually completely pulled their Steam version, their released Steam version, to go Epic Store exclusive. Or I'm not sure if that one in particular is timed exclusive or not. But what?
Yeah. I mean, one, that's stupid. Two, I mean, if Epic threw enough money at you,
I mean, I understand,
sure.
Especially with the price cut a lot more in your favor, because it would be an extra probably about 15% for them. But volume.
Yeah.
I've realized that you don't have as much competition on the Epic Store, but you're also... Well, maybe I'm being wrong with this, because Fortnite's shifting through there now, isn't it? So maybe they're hoping to get the volume there.
Maybe, but this seems like a very short-sighted decision. Short-term gain, long-term loss kind of thing. I mean, maybe not. They might not suffer any long-term consequences from it. They're on, the Epic Store for however long, a year, and then they go back to Steam also.
Yeah, which some of the people are saying that I'm not buying these games now. I mean, there's a real difference between what people say and what people do, because I always remember the what Modern Warfare was it that was saying boycott with no dedicated servers, and it has the screenshot of the Steam group for that boycott, and 80% of the people visible are playing that particular Modern Warfare.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for people, like, buy games forever. Don't just buy games on Steam because it's on Steam. Like, don't be platform loyal because of that. But the biggest draw that Steam has at this point is that there's so many games there. And I hate having a half a dozen storefront launchers on my PC to play my games. Like, it's just frustrating. And I know that you can... Well, does the Discord game launcher work with the Epic launcher too?
Actually, I'm not sure.
They might fix that, and that's sort of a way to ease it a little bit.
And there's a couple third-party programs that will pull from your various libraries, but those are extreme niche things. I forget half the time that I have like games on GOG, for example. That's a good one, and that's a big storefront, and I forget to go check there whenever I'm trying to pick out what I want to play, or fire up Uplay and watch it download a bunch of updates because I haven't launched that in a few months.
Was Rebel Galaxy Outlaw on Steam already?
The original was, but the sequel is going Epic Games Store
Outlaws
exclusive for a year, which I was at least somewhat interested in that, just because of some of the stuff that they seem to be doing to make it a little bit more freelancer-ish, but fuck it. I'm not messing with the Epic Game Store outside of maybe getting the free games.
I was just trying to see if they pull it from Steam, or...
Well, a lot of games are just saying, coming soon. Because I think a lot of them are, if they're not under some sort of contract, because who knows, they're kind of riding out to see what exactly happens in this exclusivity if they got in. And I mean, Coffee Stain Studios were being real dicks about their move. I should have gotten that video and had you watch it, because he was an ass about it. Which, that's the maker of Satisfactory, and not going to be playing Satisfactory now. Not just because of the Epic Game Store thing, but fuck that guy. Fuck that guy in particular.
Yeah. So there are a lot of people on the Rebel Galaxy Steam discussion page griping about it being an Epic Store exclusive.
Well, I guess they're feeling justified about not putting the forums on the Epic Game Store now.
Yeah, I guess so. The general consensus I see from this 20-page thread, from just skipping around a little bit, is...
Fuck them in particular?
Most people complaining about all the stuff that you're complaining about here, that they don't want to support them, they haven't earned any trust, it's frustrating that it was pulled from Steam. They're going to wait for it to come to Steam or GOG before they buy it. I mean, again, what people say and what people do are two different things, but at least in this little community, there are a general consensus that this sucks.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it does suck. Like, platform exclusivity has never really been an issue on PC. But it seems like the more things get segregated into their little storefronts,
especially
that
since
you are going to see that.
Yeah, especially since the big publishers have started doing their own thing with their own launchers and their own storefronts. At least, for the most part, EA was kind of the outlier there until Bethesda recently. They've also been playing ball with Steam to get more eyes on their product.
Yeah.
But damn.
I think the biggest issue that I have with all of this stuff is the security concerns.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yes, if you have one thing and one thing only, and it does get hacked or cracked or whatever, then you're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
But having to have multiple things that you have to have usernames and passwords for and email addresses, and it's like, sure, you could use the same password for everything, but if they get one, you lose everything. Mm-hmm. And it's just like frustrating to have to try and keep up with all that security.
Yeah, and does Epic offer two-factor verification?
I do not see anything on here about two-factor authentication.
Authentication, sorry. But close enough.
They do have a system for, like, they send a thing to your email address, it looks like, because I had to do that when I re-signed in. But there's nothing for mobile, it looks like. There's nothing for using, like, what is it, the Google Authenticator? With the QR codes. So, I mean, I guess they'd have two-factor authentication with
the email, yeah.
With the email, so yeah.
So, technically, yeah. What an absolute mess, huh?
Yeah. Talked about this for a long time, buddy. You get that off your chest? You feel a little bit better?
Yeah, maybe a little.
Okay. I don't really have anything else to add. I mean, I didn't know as much about it as you did.
Well, I've been reading about it this past week, and just it's been a trickle of information coming in since they announced it. And the guys at the Valve office must be feeling like they have real egg on their face, because Valve does this big giveaway to get people to watch on their store page, and they have all the games that are on sale, and all the announcements get other things on there as well. So, it's a big mini sale, but, a big event for Valve, and they do a giveaway as well. If you're watching, there's a chance that you get one of the games announced or that's up for an award. That's also in the sale. And, they're just doing Epic Game Store exclusive. Epic Game Store exclusive for a year. It's just massive advertising for this new storefront on Steam itself.
Yeah. That's one maybe final angle or point that just popped into my head. Like, what if there's some sort of backlash from Valve about this? Like, what if they're like, you know what? Fuck you and anyone who's associated with you. And I don't know exactly what they could do beyond just like, to the companies. Like, okay, well, if you did this Epic Store exclusive thing, you can't put your game on Steam. Or something like that. I mean, like, Epic Games is a big studio. They do a lot of things. But they don't have the sort of fuck you money that Valve does.
Yeah. I honestly hope that they don't do that. Just because I think it'll just start a war between them and Epic Games. And gamers will be caught in the crossfire.
I mean, I agree with you. And I hope that they don't either. But what if they do? Like, that's sort of a, maybe just like, that's more speculation and just like a thought exercise.
Yeah, I think it's something that they could do, but I think that it would come back to bite them more than anything else, because it would portray them as the bad guy in this. Especially since there's so many games on Steam already that they have the discovery issue.
Yeah.
So locking games out that are going to another storefront for that particular issue, because there are so few games, and at least for the time being, Epic Games seems to be trying to curate and going after the bigger name indie games. Put the games that are pushing the AA standard. That I think it would backfire on Valve if they tried to do that.
Yeah.
Now, what Valve could do is try to, the old adage, you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So maybe try to sweeten the deal for indie games, but since they just announced their new tiered launch or their tiered system for payment, I'm not sure there's much that they could do, especially since they weighted it towards trying to save the AAAs from leaving. Because that was always the big thing was, if a company is big enough where they could do their own thing, why would they give Valve 30%?
Yeah. And, I don't think I've come across this way. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Valve needs competition for Steam.
Oh, definitely.
But when you sort of serve up...
Yeah, I'm not saying that the Epic Game Store is bad because it exists. I'm saying that's bad because of how it launched.
Because it's bad. It's bad because it's bad, not just because it exists as competition to Steam.
Exactly.
So I don't think that we've come across that way, but I just feel like we should make that point. It's right here at the end, but,
Yeah.
Everyone on here that's a regular listener knows that we have many issues with Valve, but it's Steam's the best we've got, so needs more competition, but if you're going to compete with them, you have to do something that's better, not worse.
On pretty much every single front possible, except for how the pay cut is.
Yeah.
And even then, that's depending on the game engine. So that went on longer than I expected it.
Indeed. Let's move on to our next news topic, or a couple of topics, with Bethesda and their continuing failures and issues.
The Conga continues.
So, Bethesda, last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was in the last couple of weeks, finally caved, and we're like, okay, fine. We'll make your canvas bags that you want,
and you could
which they should have done in the first place. Which they should have done in the first place, but they finally caved and decided to do it. And they were like, just submit proof of your receipt, or, proof of your purchase, if you want a bag, and we'll get it sent to you when they're ready. And part of that was they had to give in some of their, their information for shipping details and stuff. Well, someone discovered that when you do this, you can see everyone else's information who has submitted before you. So, yay, Bethesda. Do you design your websites like you design your game?
No. Don't you understand what they're doing here? The sheer brilliance of this? No.
Okay. 4D chess me, my good man.
They're crowdsourcing their bug fixes now.
Oh.
Before,
nice.
They had the community just fix the games. Now they're having the community fix their customer service. But in seriousness, Bethesda, you festering piece of dog shit. What the fuck is wrong with you? You are supposed to be a triple goddamn A publisher / developer. It is no. It isn't an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment a fucking month ago. Now it's just sad.
I was about to say, it's just sad. You just got there faster. Yeah, their official statement was...
utter fuck.
Their official statement was, we experienced an error with our customer support website that allowed some customers to view support tickets submitted by a limited number of other customers
also
during
known as
a
all
brief
of them.
exposure window. Yeah, all of them. I mean, it's a limited number in the sense of, there's only so many people who wanted their bag and had other issues with
there was only
support.
so many people that were complete rubes to pay $200 for Fallout 76 when it was becoming ever the clearer that it was an absolutely empty, dismal, boring, broken, pile of shit.
Well, I could actually kind of understand someone buying the collector's edition, because if they really liked the bag and really liked the helmet, those are more unique items that would be more difficult to have created for you, or to find something like it.
Maybe.
I get that angle, but yeah, the game is garbage, so fuck that shit.
Now the real question. If you were forced to play one of the games, Fallout 76 or Red Dead Redemption 2?
Red Dead Redemption.
Wow.
As much as I hate that game, at least it works and has a story.
Oh.
Actually, is there a third option? Can I just shoot myself?
Can
I just end it all now?
Oh.
Ow, I just hit my elbow on my desk.
Oh, there's your third option.
Oh,
just cripple yourself.
Accident. It hurt. Yeah, I fucked up my arm. I can't play. Actually, that's not true. I could get the disable controller from Microsoft, whatever that thing's called.
The adaptive controller?
Disability. Yeah, the adaptive controller from Microsoft for people with disabilities.
Or you're just going to call it...
disabled controller.
Or you're just going to call it the crippled controller.
Oh, the CC. The MSCC, the Microsoft crippled controller. Coming to a store near you. Christmas 2018. For $149.99. Don't have any arms? Missing some fingers? Well, have we got a product for you? Just step right up. You'll be playing your games again in no time.
Wait, step. That's ableist.
Well, I'll have you know that this controller is only for people who have problems with their hands and arms. If your feet don't work, you're just fucked for that. I guess you can roll on up in your wheelchair. Have somebody carry you. I'm going to hell. Anyways.
Oh, but this is just pathetic. That and also the Bethesda thing's bad as well.
Yeah. The other portion, I mean, there was 2 news articles to that. That one's the first one. I think that pretty much covers it. Bethesda.
Yeah, speaking of pathetic.
Just sad.
So there's a Young Gay video as well on this, but I'm linking directly to a Reddit post because it breaks down or links also to a breakdown of the massive sweeping stealth nerfs that they did to Fallout 76 because, the game wasn't grindy enough,
Yep. I have to cough one moment while I mute all of the things. You can keep talking.
Well, I was going to say that. Well, for example, here's some of the highlights. I'm not going to go into the full things, but workshops that produce fusion cores, which is used for your power armor, have had their rates reduced to 1 core per hour from 10 cores per hour. A slight nerf there. Workshops that produce ammo had their production cap reduced from 400 to 200. Extractors now produce 1 ore instead of scrap, which it takes multiple ore to equal 1 scrap, so this is a big nerf. Fusion cores drain quicker. Several exploits removed, which is not a bad thing, but some server hopping exploits have been removed, so you can no longer jump servers to try to obtain items because it's a open world multiplayer game. If someone went through and looted everything, 5 minutes before you got there, you're fucked. Enemy spawns have been altered drastically. They used to spawn when anybody entered the area, even if other players were already there. It appears that enemies now spawn if, and only if, there are no other players immediately nearby their spawn point. Which can be a double-edged sword, but it also can lead to a point where, enemies just stop spawning because, you just happen to be close by. And carry weight bug that improperly calculates increases from gear, resulting in low encumbrance limits until you unequip gear that boosts your capacity. That introduced the bug. Of course, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Fallout 76, let's just put it this way, all right? To give you an idea of just how mind-numbing the game is by design, I actually had to go confirm this because this seemed like a joke. This seemed like an Onion article, all right? They have a quest line that accurately reproduces the feeling of going to the DMV.
Which one is that?
Is
that the one at the shooting range where you have to go fix everything and then?
No. You go to the DMV.
Oh, literally go to the DMV?
Yes, literally go to the DMV. Then are told that you don't have the proper paperwork. Then have to go to another office in the Capitol complex, get the paperwork, go back, find out that you needed to get it stamped, go to a different place, get it stamped, and no, I'm not joking, by the way. Go back, and then get told that this is the wrong line, and the robot, because of course it's a robot, because there's no human NPCs in this game, but the robots are fine for some reason, is on fucking break. What is this, a union robot? So you have to wait for him to come off break. Actual quest line. I may be wrong in some of the details, but it's monotonous, and it's not like the game has an issue with, running, so, it won't crash randomly and lose your progress, or, it has a bad problem with autosave states, so, it doesn't autosave nearly often enough. Oh, wait, we're talking about Fallout 76, aren't we? Of course it does. Of course it does.
In a lot of other games, that would be like a weird, wacky little Easter egg.
Yeah, that would
like
be
hidden
no,
thing.
no. This is main story quest.
No, I hear you. I'm not arguing that point. Just like in a lot of other games, this would be like a wacky little Easter egg or something.
This would have been a joke in like a Borderlands game, a little side quest.
Yeah, it would have been a little jokey side quest, and then you've gotten like some stupid, useless item that's like, haha, you waited at the DMV, dumbass. Like that would be, something like that, and that would be, cutesy and like whatever. But main story quest, that's stupid. I have to wait at the DMV in my real life. I don't want to do that.
And on top of that,
game.
if the area gets nuked, you got a bunch of high level enemies sitting in the DMV now.
Well, I mean that just makes it more realistic.
It's just, what the fuck, Bethesda?
Your game is bad, and you should feel bad.
Is Bethesda in an active competition now with Epic to try to figure out who fucked up the most this year?
Maybe, or EA. Ubisoft did okay. I disagree with a lot of their business practices, but as far as game releases and shit goes, they didn't really have any issues this year.
Oh, it's just...
But EA...
to be fair, I don't pay that much attention to EA these days, so... But,
fucking Command and Conquer. We'll never forgive them for that.
All right, Command and Conquer, that was this year.
And Anthem.
Well, Anthem...
Not out yet, but coming.
Yeah, Anthem's next year, so... what are you, against Anthem now?
I don't know. I have no hope for that game. Was Mass Effect Andromeda this year?
Yes, I think.
That was this year, wasn't it?
I think.
That was another issue this year. Well, no, that was last year.
Well, sorry, my face was tired, so I was wrong about that. Whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. Outside of just maybe they were fourth wall breaking and was saying, okay, we know her facial animations suck. We know that. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough money because we're EA. We have all the money in the world, but we need all the money in the world. Oh, but yeah, Bethesda. Do you think we'll escape this topic and not? Well, hopefully Game Club will take up the whole next episode, so we won't have to talk about Fallout by default. But do you think we're gonna be done with Fallout for a while?
No.
How about this?
I think we'll be dealing with Fallout 76 in January.
So you're saying that we're going to be dealing with Fallout from Fallout? Huh? I'm surprised you didn't go there.
That was terrible, but excellent, and I love it.
That's why I said I'm surprised you didn't go there.
Well, I am mainlining some cough drops right now. I had to mute for some more coughs, so I just didn't think about it.
I will say that since we are talking about Fallout, the new Fallout-like game from Obsidian actually looks very interesting. I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
Which game is that?
Outer Worlds.
The Game Awards, which I haven't watched.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to show you this trailer. All right?
Okay.
And then I want your reaction, all right? So, quick elevator music. This is a 2-minute trailer, all right? And
okay.
Actually, we'll watch it together, and we'll have the thing that, like we did for Pokemon. Sound good?
Sounds good.
There you go. I'm right at the start of it.
Okay.
So let me. So basically, start it, pause, and then we'll sync up.
Loud. Okay, let me turn this down. All right.
on your mark.
Get set. Go. Yeah, I'm in. I'll buy it. If that game was on sale, out and on sale right now, I'd go buy it right now based on that trailer.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically a giant fuck you when they mention Fallout twice and saying the original creators. They know the audience wants a decent first-person, story-driven game. And cherry on top that put me from curious to cautiously optimistic. They've already said,
what is this?
No microtransactions.
Outer Wilds? So I typed in Outer Worlds into Steam. I'm adding it to my wish list. And underneath it is another brand new game, Outer Wilds? It's not out. Huh. It's a space something or other. Oh, he's roasting a marshmallow. I want a marshmallow.
Yeah, I never heard about this one. Looks very rough, though, right now.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's, hang on, let's see, Mobius Digital. Okay, What Remains of Edith Finch. So this is definitely not, just someone, grabbing at a title. So, that's the first thing I always check is that, a similar title like this, go check. But, this is also the same developer that, silently released Actions on the Epic Store, front as well. And still has a to be determined on Steam, which is massively pissing off people.
Something kind of looks familiar about this. Going to look up something real quick, and then we'll get back to it.
But since we were talking Bethesda and Fallout, I wanted to show you that, since I know you didn't watch the Game Awards.
Yeah. Okay, I've seen this before, like very early alpha footage on Scott Manley's channel.
All right.
And the footage is from 2015, so this game has been in development for several years. Mm-hmm. It looks even rougher than it does in that trailer. So, on the Steam page.
I would hope so.
So I guess they've made some improvements.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Speaking of some improvements,
I knew I'd seen that somewhere. Yeah. Let me get back over to where I need to be. Nintendo rolls back its content creator program.
Yeah. Welcome to the future. Try not to.
Welcome to the 21st century, Nintendo.
Yeah. Try not to break it. So
I mean, yeah. In a nutshell, Nintendo had a really shitty revenue sharing program if you wanted to create content for them. Otherwise, they basically just copyright struck everything that you did.
Oh, well, it wasn't copyright struck. They claimed content.
Take down.
No, they claimed it. But here's the thing: is that it wasn't just content creators. So if you're doing a let's play of the new Mario game, for example, they would grab that if you weren't part of their club. But where they were getting into trouble was, podcasts would do video content. If they showed the trailer for a game for a few seconds in a multi-hour video, they'll grab it and take the entire thing.
Yeah.
Which is, I believe the term is fucked up. So they've changed it, and I'm just going to go over the official announcement. We'll go this point by point. You may now monetize your videos and channels using monetization methods separately specified by Nintendo. Other forms of monetization of our intellectual property for commercial purposes are not permitted. So, saying essentially, okay, videos are okay, but you're selling T-shirts, which is fine, okay, in my opinion at least. I mean, I realize I'm saying this with my current Steam avatar. For those who've never seen my Steam avatar, it's actually borrowed from a shirt from Woot. titled One Spicy Meatball. It's a piranha plant that is looking very happy with a Mario hat sitting at the base of the pipe. And I'll let you fill in the details.
Well, I mean, clearly he didn't get Mario because he left the hat. He just got whatever poor sap the hat was puppeting around.
This is true. This is true.
But, I mean, I guess the piranha plant doesn't know that, so.
So the hat's trying to stealthily slide away.
Yeah.
Have we ever determined what Mario is exactly? Because we know the host isn't human.
Mario is magic essence of childhood happiness and wonder.
I don't know. Some Mario games may not be that much. Especially if you got them on the CDI. Ooh.
I've seen those games, thanks to, was it the AVGN that did it?
Yeah, Angry Video Game Nerd.
Yeah.
Oh, almost as bad as the Zelda ones.
Those were real bad. I've actually played one of those.
Oh, you poor thing. Anyway, we encourage you to create videos that include your creative input and commentary, videos and images that contain mere copies of Nintendo game content without being a creative input or a commentary is not prohibited. So essentially re-uploading trailers and that sort of thing. Or just... actually, this would also include the genre blank game, the movie. So all the cutscenes stitched together as well. But you may, however, post your gameplay videos and screenshots using Nintendo system features, such as capture button on Nintendo Switch, without input or commentary. So essentially, the clips from the actual Nintendo hardware, A-OK. But if you're using capture hardware or software, or I would imagine emulation as well, and you're just doing raw uploads or silent Let's Plays, that's a no-no under this, which is a little bit skirting the line there in my opinion, but on some other things I understand, especially them wanting to curtail things like the game, the movie. So not wanting the story for the next Zelda game spoiled just by uploading all the cutscenes. Assuming that they don't keep up with the more open world aspect where it's the journey and not the destination for the next Zelda game, which actually would be surprising if they did it again. And they didn't go to a more a structured Zelda game next time. But that general idea, I should say.
Yeah.
You are only permitted to use Nintendo game content that has been officially released or from promotional materials officially released by Nintendo, such as product trailers or Nintendo Directs. So, no leaking, pretty much. If you want to use intellectual property of a third party, you're responsible for obtaining any necessary third-party permissions. Pretty bog standard there. You are not permitted to imply or state your videos are officially affiliated or sponsored by Nintendo. Okay, understandable. And, of course, we reserve the right to remove any content that we believe is unlawful, infringing, inappropriate, or not in line with these guidelines. So, basically, if we think it's bad, you're bad. I mean, I don't have a problem with most of this. There's a couple, kind of borderline issues, but overall, I think it's a fairly solid set of guidelines.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially considering coming from the their content creator program where you were giving up a percentage of a percentage. So already, whenever you create a video and you have ad revenue on it, YouTube off the top takes I think it's the standard like 30% or so. It also depends on your channel size, your demographics, that sort of thing. So all the percentages are a little bit variable. Then Nintendo comes in and takes up over half of it. They got the 60 and you got the 40, right? Or am I getting it backwards? I can't remember which was which. But it's still a substantial chunk even if it's 40.
Yeah.
So you're still well under half of what you would have gotten anyway.
I think for a standard channel when all this came out, you were only getting a quarter of your original ad revenue, because you got you got your split with Google, and then they took something like half. So if you were like a standard content creator,
Yeah, and then
you
then
got
there's
around
tiers of it as well.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you got around like 25% of what you originally should have been given by the time it was all said and done. So, and it got worse if you were part of an MCN or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Which is honestly a bit of a old school method now.
yeah, there's not very many of those around anymore that I'm aware of, but I think there's still a few that are hanging on.
Well, we'll just wait for YouTube to remove the support for those, like they did annotations.
Yeah.
And they're actually completely wiping annotations now. Ironically enough, they're saying they're wiping it because not many people are using them.
Every channel that I watch uses annotations.
No. These aren't the card things. This is the frames that people used to be able to put over videos.
Oh. I still see plenty of channels that use those, though.
Especially on older only on older content, because they removed the ability to create them and even edit them. And yeah, there's some Let's Play types that were using them heavily for multiple choice things, or people talking about whenever they removed the support for them. There was one poor sap that created a full working Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game out of it, just by linking to different things and also having all the lifelines working.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
That's going to be gone by mid-January.
Woo.
Time marches on and disregards the past, huh? Just because they couldn't bother trying to get it to work on mobile.
I thought it was working on mobile at one point. Or was that something different that they implemented?
That's the card system.
No, I've seen something that's not the cards that work on mobile. You can tap on the screen.
Maybe they had it partially working and then an update broke it and they just never bothered fixing it. Which is also, a Google thing, right?
Yeah.
But we're way off topic. So, the Nintendo thing, I mean, I don't really have a problem with it. It's a lot more consumer friendly. It's a lot more content creator friendly. And hey, it actually allows them to get some free advertising out of content creators like they've been throwing away for the last, couple of years now?
Yeah, lots of channels and podcasts and stuff I listen to refuse to cover Nintendo content because they're like, I mean, we don't want all of everything to be taken down or lose our monetization because we showed, a trailer that they put out for press. So we're just going to avoid it all.
Yeah, they originally started striking down videos or claimed all monetization rights on videos from starting in 2013. 2 years later, they introduced the Nintendo Creators Program, which was up to 40%. If you're standalone, the share drops to 60%. Okay, so here's what it was. If you were a content creator and you were part of a big group, you would get 70%. If you're just a standalone, you would get 60%. So they would be taking 40%, which is still a huge chunk. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
And, they've had it in place for years now. But now it's gone. It's dead and good. So, moving on.
Indeed. Topics. Boosting is now a criminal offense in South Korea. And that is like account boosting, like you pay someone or pay a service to boost your account to get you items, experience, or a higher ranking.
Yeah, this seems so strange to me to create a law for this. I'm assuming, and this is probably me being completely racist on this, but this is probably related to where esports is a lot bigger thing in South Korea. In the StarCraft scene, it was big news when the grand champion was not Korean. As a matter of fact, I believe the latest one was the first.
Yeah. Yep. That is correct. I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily racist. They just have a different cultural...
Well, you could never tell these days.
I mean, different... Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's racist. And I'm like out of the two of us, I'm the much more PC one.
That's a low bar.
But... Fair enough. But
rant on Epic Games for how PC I am.
yeah, but I mean, they're just in a different place culturally with video games than the Western world is, or most of the rest of the world in general. Actually, not just the West. They take gaming much more seriously than we do. This is akin, I think. They take gaming and esports the same way that we take here in America. We take football or baseball, and the rest of the world, football. Like they take it as seriously as we do that. And the way that I see this is something along the lines of like some sort of law or something against players, in other sports using like steroids or something. It's not quite like a 1-to-1, comparison. Obviously, it's not quite an apples to apples comparison.
Yeah,
but
mostly because
this feels sort of like that, because you would be misrepresenting yourself, and in actual physical sports, taking a steroid to make yourself look or play better.
Yeah, but here's the problem with the analogy on that, is that when the person takes the steroids, they're better at the game. This, they get boosted up to a higher rank, but they still have the skills from when they were, let's just say they get boosted up to gold in X game from when they were in copper. They're still a copper player, so they're going to fall.
I see what you're saying.
The rationale behind this law is trying to protect not from boosting, but the online integrity, which just seems so weird, because then you have, maybe this is just a cultural difference, but when I play online games, you always have people just dicking around. You have people intentionally trolling back in the Team Fortress 2 day, there was always it seems like on every Valve server, there was Sandwich Heavy, who would just run around and throw a sandwich to literally anyone, which, for those who don't know, is a healing item that he carries. That heals a substantial amount, actually. So, but it has a long cooldown to be able to, it takes him a while to make a new one, because he keeps eating it. But...
So I see what you're saying, but it's actually the same or a similar sort of thing. So person takes steroids, they're better than they should be, like naturally in the game. Versus person is boosted up, they're worse than they should be naturally in the game. It's like, it is two different outcomes, but they have, or two different ways to have the same outcome, because it upsets the balance of the game.
Maybe. I'm just saying that... if they are so concerned about boosting, are they going to worry about people trolling or people feeding in a game like League of Legends or Dota? I should say intentional feeding, because I hate using the slippery slope analogy, but this just seems like such a niche thing that maybe they'll look at other things as well.
I mean, I suppose we're just going to have to wait and see. This seems a little pointless to me, like why?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like their culture approaches this very differently from our culture, and comparing it, the sports analogy, like, okay. Although my response to that was always like, well, why not just create a separate league, and everyone who wants to do that, like, do that.
Mm-hmm.
So why not have a separate league of all the people who found out we're boosters, and
that's what they do with cheaters.
Yeah,
and hackers, they'll phase them against one another, which honestly, that's an esport I want to see. All right, I want to see the esport where it's all the people that are using all the hacks and all the cheats facing off against one another. Because personally, I think it would be fascinating, depending on the game.
That would be interesting. Hacksaw Sports. Then we'll workshop the title. That was real bad, but
bad for even you. Well, just have it at one of the hacker conventions.
Like DEF CON in Vegas.
Yeah, the DEF CON esport. It would be really interesting for, I think, first-person shooters. And be able to have some sort of overlay with what the players are actually seeing, so you can see all the hacks that they're running. See all the wall hacks, all the weird physics hacks that they're running, that sort of thing.
Aimbots. See how the aimbots face off against each other?
That brings me back to TF2 again. There was always I shouldn't say always. Occasionally you would run into someone that would be running an aimbot, and they would have it set so it was painfully obvious. Probably my favorite one that I would see occasionally. And it was one of those things that it was kids getting a new account, going to aimbot as long as they could, because they were using the free version that actually advertised the aimbot in chat. So you knew what was going on if you do, what that line meant, that kept getting spammed and spammed and spammed every time they got a kill. But, okay. It would usually either be a sniper or a heavy, because usually the aimbot has some sort of thing where it would make it so that the damage drop-off was also gone away, or the cone of damage for the heavy's machine gun was reduced or removed. And they would have it where they would be spinning in a circle in place, and if anybody got in line of sight, they would immediately stop, snap to him, and shoot him in the head. Completely legitimate strategy, right? No way that's a bot.
Yeah, definitely not.
Or the other good one is, obviously wall hacking. And, someone comes around the corner, and the person steps out and fires and steps back behind the corner. Obviously not a cheater, right? When it happens,
definitely not.
When it happens several times in a row.
Yeah, I will say that's happened a couple of times for me playing Call of Duty.
Every so often, bad luck. But when it happens, 3-4 times in a row, it starts to become a pattern.
Yeah.
But yeah, this just feels like a really, really weird situation.
It does feel weird, but it's, the reason we put it up here was it's just a
head
interesting look at how a different culture approaches video games, something we're extremely
Makes me wonder what they think about loot boxes.
Don't they have lots of loot boxes and microtransactions?
And mobile games, I'm not sure about what they're, because gaming is such a weird thing. It's so fragmented as well whenever you really think about it. Because you have the sports games, you have the mobile games, you have the AAA games, you have the indie games. And just those 4 big camps. There is overlap, but not as much as you would think.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be like a person that likes movies only ever watching a particular genre and never watching anything else. Does it happen? Yes, but it's a lot more rare, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Music's probably a better example of that, where there'll be genre fans that will have 1 or 2 other things, but it is also as segregated. But it's a odd thing for a visual medium that's as big as it is.
Yeah,
and can have wildly different practices and standards. So, speaking of different standards,
indeed,
I wasn't going for the segue, but then I realized what was up next and thought, let's go for it.
Yeah. So Steam has bugs. There should be a comma there, and issues with adult content again.
Yeah. So, in the Christmas episode, the nice list scratch one off, I guess. I guess it depends on what happens this week, because there has been an announcement that, one of the developers did say that Friday Valve is going to have a blog post or something addressing this. So, don't scratch them out with pencil so we could erase the scratch out just in case. But let's go ahead and talk about the adult games since I led up to that. Essentially, they're banning lowlies, or banning characters that have a questionable age, which also includes high school students. So if your visual novel that has boobies in it, or even hints of boobies, because some of the games that's been removed has been the all ages version, but there's a patch available. If it's set in a high school, Out. So you're the professional here, in more than one sense for this. Your thoughts?
Well,
Feeling conflicted?
I mostly don't like. I mostly don't like this.
Yeah.
I understand they want
the censorship on the face of it.
Yeah, I mostly don't like it. I can understand them saying, like, okay, we don't want there to be underage looking people or, children or people with the appearance of being children. Because, lollies appear to be very young in anime.
Usually prepubescent.
Yeah, and they don't want that. They don't want to have to deal with that. I get that. But otherwise, the rest of it just feels like, yeah.
It sounds like Valve's overreacting again, or
yeah.
Another possibility is that there's some sort of culture clash going in, or a corporate struggle going on within Valve, because Valve has a very odd corporate culture where it's a very flat chain of command. First you have God, then you have Gaben.
One and the same, honestly, if we're being honest here.
And then it kind of becomes a pretty flat structure when it comes to power, where people could go do their own things and have their own projects. A lot of times it works out well, but then you get infighting between the different groups, and we end up in a situation like this where one group will be banning things or removing things, and the other one will be saying, no, it's perfectly okay, it's perfectly okay. And the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, or actively fighting one another.
Right.
And then Gaben's in the box gets full again. and then he has to search, what are lolies? Oh, let's be honest, Gaben knows, right?
Oh, yeah, he definitely knows. But, yeah, I mean, I suppose this is another thing. Like, we'll see how it develops over the next, however many days or weeks, as there continues to be sort of this back and forth, like, backlash and struggle and whatnot.
Yeah, and also some visual novels particularly are postponing their releases on Steam just to see, what the hell.
What I want to know is how this affects certain games. Like, for example, If My Heart Had Wings is, a story about people that are all high school aged, or is it college aged?
No, it's high school.
Yeah, so they're all high school aged. Like, what do you do with that? Like, by default, there's not nudity in that game, is there? Like, you have to get the uncensored patch, right?
Actually, for If My Heart Had Wings, there's not even an official adult patch for the English version. You have to. You have to do a lot of jumping through hoops to get it to work. Obviously, I did because I know about it.
Yeah,
but this is also an outlier as well, because usually when you have games talking about the lollies are being heavily sexualized, it's usually smut. Let's be perfectly honest, porn. But in games where it's If My Heart Had Wings, as a good example, since we both did it in the game club, the sex scenes have a lot of content for the plot in particular, and not just plot in the nudge nudge and wink wink area, but it's a character development. It's two people confiding in one another and then boning.
Wink.
But yeah, it could set a bad precedent, to be perfectly honest, and could really hurt the reputation Valve was trying to build with visual novel games. Where is the line then? Because before it was any sexuality. Okay, fine, you could have an adult patch. Okay, no, you can't have an adult patch, you're gone. Okay, you can have the adult patch, you're back. Okay, tits out, everybody's fine. Oh, no, she looks too young. I don't care if she's a 5,000-year-old dragon. Too young. Okay, let's wait and see. We're getting mixed signals, aren't we?
Yeah. It's all very, confusing, convoluted. I might not agree with a hardline stance of just like, nope, we're not going to do this, but at least that's clear.
Yeah, and also
can be worked with.
There needs to be a good set of guidelines, and guidelines that make sense. Because, okay, saying no high school, well, the age of consent kicks in, and also you run into the problem of different cultures as well, where the age of consent wildly differs. So, where do you cut it off? Do you push the American ideals because it's Valve's an American corporation? Or do you look at the individual developers? There was the one, now I'm blanking on the name, but it was pulled over the fear that it would cater to pedophiles because it had young girls in it. No sexuality in it whatsoever. But she's too young to be in a game. It's just Valve needs to have a clear set of guidelines. And short of Gaben coming down from his throne made of cash, I'm not sure if we'll see a well laid out set of guidelines that Valve will follow. And it does make me wonder if visual novels do have a future on Steam until they do that, because sexuality and nudity are major portions of at least a good chunk of the visual novel game genre. Well, not even getting into the other BB games that are out there. What happens when Sega and Kagura, for example, no direct nudity, but it's sexualized. The girls are young. Is that game series gone?
I don't know. I suppose we'll have to find out.
But you could see how Slippery Slope could definitely apply here, huh? Especially since Valve has been so schizophrenic about this. That's the other thing, is that they wanted to promote them supporting adult games. And in a way, and this is going to sound weird, maturing the medium by putting sexuality out there as well. Because before this, it was really rare outside of AAA games where even that was toned down for by Hollywood standards, I should say, where nudity wouldn't be shown all that much, if at all. Sexuality or sex in general wouldn't be shown all that much, if at all. There are outliers, of course, but as a hard and fast rule, those two things didn't really appear, which made the medium seem a lot more childlike. And this isn't just me wanting to see tits in video games. Okay, not completely, but still.
Although I do want tits in video games.
But it does lead a certain amount of maturity to the medium. Yes, you're going to have your porn games. Yes, you're going to have your smut games. Yes, you're going to have your games that are very shallow just because they were able to get the proper art assets. But it also allows to have a deeper meaning to their games, and it allows game developers to be able to paint with broader strokes. It allows them to have more say in their stories. And that's what I'm really saying, is that the adult video games allow video games to become more, adult.
More mature. In every way in which that implies.
Wink.
Wink, wink.
I got my rant on
Alrighty.
there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Giving
what's the other thing?
I guess that's making up for you having to carry games we played.
I mean, you've certainly talked plenty this episode done in other aspects too, or in other places too. And you did the whole game thing.
Okay. Well, there was the
or the Epic game.
No. I was going to say there was also them messing around with the search algorithms and completely breaking them. Good job breaking it, hero. What, I can't quote Portal for Valve fucking up their search?
No, that's good. Very meta.
Considering there was the big thing about Portal as well this week, I didn't put it on the docket because it was just an Easter egg. Or did you see that? A little rabbit trail.
No, I didn't see
Okay,
that.
CS:GO went free to play. All right.
Oh, yeah, the Battle Royale thing. That's right.
And the Battle Royale, which the Battle Royale is actually pretty small by Battle Royale standards, but it makes sense because they don't want to rebuild the entire net code and everything. There's a hidden room that people are able to figure out by using black magic fuckery. That this particular sound that's coming out of a radio says this is a triumph. And people are going absolutely ape shit, thinking this was some sort of ARG announcing Portal 3. And they had to actually come out and say, no, just an Easter egg. Just an Easter egg. We're not doing Portal 3. Maybe they should, because Artifact is burning and crashing. Oh, Artifact. That pot of whales is not staying around. But that's not on the docket.
No, it's not.
Even though Artifact, the credit card trading game, is an interesting experiment that's failing. But anyway.
Right.
Essentially, this was them messing around with the algorithms in October. And game developers saying, we're seeing a lot lower search results, a lot less traffic than we usually see. And Valve's just dragging their feet until they eventually was forced to by devs starting to release data from everything that I've been able to understand on this. The official statement says, on October 5th, we deployed some code to Steam that changed the defaults for our search engine queries to factor in sales and wishlist activity more than before. That was meant to fix another bug preventing less relevant games from appearing in your searches. But what it actually did was deboost similar games, bringing the platform's most popular titles down in search results. Whoopsie, right?
Yep. Whoopsie. Sort of fix one thing, completely break another.
The Bethesda model.
Also the Valve model.
Yeah, but Bethesda's perfected it.
Yeah. Some of the devs were saying that they were seeing as much as a 50% reduction in their sales.
Yeah, especially I would imagine if it's a game that has a pretty generic title. Just being lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. That seems pretty amazing to me, though, how much the algorithm can drive traffic. Like, it's not something you really think about. Like, we complain about it all the time. Developers complain about it all the time. It's hard to search for games and find things. But, I mean, it's driving, obviously, shitloads of traffic and sales. Just don't really think about it that much. How some small or seemingly small changes to the way it works can significantly reduce or increase revenue for a number of games.
Well, I think it possibly not us, not the enthusiast level. All right. What I think their loss of sales was for the more casual gamer. So, yeah, two kids hanging out in the schoolyard. Do kids hang out in the schoolyard still?
I don't know. My kid is too young for that. I mean, he goes to school.
But anyway, they're talking about whatever game. Yeah, whatever Battle Royale game's big right now. Or whatever next flavor comes up. And they say, well, it's this game that's really cool, and they either mishear or only catch part of the title. So they search either the misspelled title or part of it, and the actual game is further down the list, but they find something else that's kind of neat and go for that instead. Or they just can't find the game in general. For someone that knows exactly what game you're looking for, I don't think this was going to be as big an issue. So it's one of those things where we're kind of the worst people to talk about this because, for one, we end up just either buying or getting review codes for a lot of things, and we have a massive library. So outside of sales, we don't really buy a lot of games, right?
Yeah, not really. Every once in a while, but
And also, we usually know exactly what we want. So, if we're looking for, a particular game, we'll be able to, if we can't find it, but we know exactly what it is, we start searching on Google to find it instead. But for someone that's more casual and wants, there was this really cool first-person shooter I heard about. It was something Duty, or something like that. And they start searching that, they may find something else.
Hero's Duty from Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, and then they start losing themselves in Rule 34.
Wink.
But yeah, I think we're just the wrong people to see the problem on this, just because the algorithm is leaning more towards the more casual player. And I don't mean casual in a dismissive, fucking casuals. I mean them as, casual. Ones that don't understand that thou shalt not pre-order.
Indeed. Thou shalt not pre-order.
But anything else on this?
I don't think so.
Which brings us to Community Corner.
Indeed it does.
Unless you want to shit on Artifact for a bit.
Nah, I'm good. I'm actually starting to get a little bit sleepy, so we heading into the last, the final couple stretches of the show would be good.
All right.
So, we had the Community Corner this week. We have a listener question. I had someone ask me on Steam, or on, chatting with me on Steam, looking into building their first custom PC. Not a lot of money, or, smaller budget, I guess, is the more appropriate way to say that. And they were asking me about buying graphics cards if they came out of a crypto mining rig, because I'm our, I guess, amateur or hobbyist level crypto miner. And I thought that would be a good question to answer, because, what really, goes into the life of a graphics card, and how bad can crypto mining be
Pain
for
and
it? So
misery.
I know some stuff.
And
I know
heat.
some stuff from
Definitely
what I
heat.
do myself. And then I did a little bit of research. Some of this, there's a lot of people who say basically both sides of this. So this is one of those things that it might be your mileage may vary. It might depend on the card, how good the batch of all the materials was when they were created. But I think based on, a combination of experience and then some research, this is probably a pretty decent rule of thumb, or sort of a decent sort of basic guide to what to do. So when it comes to picking up cards that for a fact, or have pretty good suspicion they were in someone's mining rig, a couple of things to consider. Almost certainly you're going to need to replace the fan on that card. It's the only mechanical part. All the rest of it, just heat and, electric current.
Yeah, and,
but the fan itself...
Well, I was going to say, and the reason being that on modern cards, when they're not under load, the fan is either spinning very slowly or not at all.
Right. And in crypto mining, either, if they just leave it by default, the fan is going to be spinning all the time anyways. But typically, crypto miners will set the fans to spin at 100% all the time, just to help keep heat down anyways. So you're almost certainly going to have to replace the fan. So when it comes to looking to buy a graphics card that could have been, or definitely was, in a crypto mining rig, that's something to look for.
I would say take a step further. Now, to be fair, I'm not well versed in crypto mining, but I would say, since it's likely either not in warranty or pretty soon out of warranty, or the manufacturer wouldn't touch it, I would say pull the entire heatsink and swap out thermal paste or thermal pads.
Well, I was going to get there.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if you're going there, so.
Yeah.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
No, you're fine. So, whenever you're looking at
I'm
these
trying to
cards, look for
contribute.
cards that have easy to change fans. A lot of your MSI.
Sapphire does that as well.
Yeah. MSI, Sapphire, a lot of other sort of air quotes aftermarket cards have easier to change fans, and you can buy those fans and other parts easier than buying.
Sapphire's is actually one screw and the entire assembly comes out for each fan.
Yeah.
Really good setup. I really like it.
So that's something to consider when buying a graphics card that was in a crypto miner or a crypto mining rig. I mean, you're almost certainly going to have to change the fan. You probably just should anyways if you suspect it. Most fans have a pretty decent life. In like a standard use case, you might never have to change the fan on a graphics card or a case fan or a CPU fan. But, I mean, these things are running 24/7, 365 at 100%. So they will almost certainly be burned out, or, you know, the bearings will be shot or close to it. Mm-hmm. Then beyond that, you start to get into a lot of like, well, you know, how much does this really matter to you? Best practice would be what you said, Rage. Take it, you know, as long as you're not afraid of it, as long as you are willing to,
yeah, I would say,
you know, take on the risk yourself.
I would say before you buy, go to YouTube and search for the particular model and manufacturer of that card and look to see how involved it is to pull the heatsink and be able to swap out whatever thermal compounds or products are in that. Right. Instead of just buying it straight out and thinking that you could do it. Best to know what you're getting into, because some cards could be rather involved, especially when there's back plates and also thermal compound back there as well, doubling the back plate doubling as a secondary heatsink. Yeah, is actually a fairly common practice these days with cards that are running back plates, of course. And to actually say what a back plate is, it's what it really sounds like. It's another piece of metal that goes behind the graphics card. And often what manufacturers will do, they'll put thermal tape on the, usually the video RAM. But usually there's a couple other chips back there as well. And they'll sink heat to the back plate and use the passive airflow of the case itself and use it as a secondary heat sink to be able to pull more heat off the card than just the fans would be able to flowing through the heatsink itself. And it's really useful for cards that have a very complex heatsink, so it could get clogged with dust.
GPUs are really sad looking when you take them apart, because, I mean, they're basically just a small board and chipset.
Yeah, and a giant shell.
But there's so much, they just do so much work, and there's so much current going through them, they generate so much heat. All of the stuff that makes a GPU look big and cool is all there just to pull heat away from the chipset. But anyways, best practice would be to take it apart, replace the thermal compound, put it back together, and use it then. You don't necessarily have to do that, but you could run up against thermal throttling and things if the compound is essentially, you know, used up. I mean, it doesn't like, you know, go away. It's not like, but it can lose its effectiveness over time. So replace that. But something that, like, you don't really have to worry about the GPU itself in general, like the actual chipset and the board and things going bad. That very rarely happens.
Capacitors.
Something that the mining community does is they will undervolt their cards. You get a more bang for your buck that way in terms of like reducing power consumption and heat versus how much output you still get from the card. I mean, obviously, if you undervolt it, you're not getting its full potential, but in doing so, the savings are better than the loss that you get from not running the cards at maximum capacity. So that does help extend the life of the card. Also, when it comes to capacitors and things, when they're at full charge, this is something there's a little bit of disagreement about, but when they're consistently being used as opposed to being sort of the stop-start of what a GPU does under like a gaming load or whatever, it will not extend their life, but they don't undergo quite as much, you know, of the extreme up and down.
I wasn't thinking the load, I was thinking the heat.
Right. Well, I mean, anyone who's actually got a well put together set up mining rig, I mean, it's going to be hot, but you're not going to be running them too hot. Like, you're not going to be running them beyond their heat capacity.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that these cards, as much of the design work that they do to be able to sink the heat and get it away, they're not designed for 24/7 use. They're designed for a few hours or maybe 12 hours. I'm actually not sure of the strict design specifications, but they're not designed to do this. So I do think that there's if there's any flaws in the design of the card, a mining rig will show it a lot sooner. And
that's the thing.
And you may see miners starting to drop a lot of cards, and that would be suspicious. And I would recommend against getting at least those cards. But that may also drop the price of the first market cards. So you could just get them from the manufacturer directly, because the miners will no longer be buying up all the cards and jacking up the price.
Yeah. I mean, it is a bit of a gamble, but sort of I would say the production average, like in general, the quality for something from, AMD or NVIDIA, like your mainline graphics cards, they've got high enough quality standards that in general, you're probably going to be okay along those lines. I mean, again, this is sort of anecdotal evidence based on my own experience and the people that I've talked to about it, with a little bit of, additional research to shore up the areas that I wasn't 100% sure on. So, I mean, if a card does have flaws, like, you're always sort of playing that lottery. But if you can get a card for maybe, well, I mean, ultimately, your budget, your money, your value, I would say if you could get a card for, in total, all said and done, after you've done sort of what I would recommend, like the mandatory fan replacement.
I didn't know they. Well, to be fair, usually these are AMD cards, so flame may not be far off.
But after you've done the mandatory fan replacement and the recommended thermal compound replacement, if you could get it for 50% or less of its current market value, I think that's a pretty good deal. But again, you know, your mileage, one, may vary. You are, playing a little bit of a lottery here. You kind of always are with used parts, but any once you get a card, you've been suspect of it being in mining, you replace the fan, you replace the thermal compound. If it had any warranty left at all, it's now gone because you've taken it apart. So you've got really no backup on that. Actually, buying from eBay is pretty good with their consumer
eBay is
guarantee.
Surprisingly consumer friendly.
eBay is extremely consumer friendly. Outside of eBay, though, I'm not sure if I would,
do not use Craigslist.
You're fucked. Yeah, don't use Craigslist. You're fucked in that respect. I would say don't use Craigslist, but 50% value or even less, I think that's a pretty good deal. And if that's worth the gamble to you, then totally go for it. So there you go. Sort of a basic, should you buy a used graphics card for crypto miner, or that might be from a crypto miner?
Maybe.
You can, maybe. I mean, it's not, if you get the right deal and you're willing to put in some work to make sure that the basics, are taken care of so that your card's not going to, break down and overheat, like the one mechanical component and then the potentially wearing out thermal compound. I mean, I think it can be worth it if you get it for the right price and are willing to do a little work.
Yeah, I would say that it's more for the high-level enthusiast. I realize once you're building your computer, your own rig, you're already pretty much at the enthusiast level, or that general area. But going whole hog on this and completely tearing down a graphics card to be able to swap out thermal compounds and fans, especially if it's not a card that's really supports swapping out the fans easily, then you're getting to some crazy shit.
Then you're on my level. I've done that before. I've just for funsies, I tore apart an older graphics card I had and put it back together. But the only thing left from here is soldering together your own custom boards and stuff. That's about all that's left. Once you've taken apart a GPU or taken out a CPU diode to play with it.
See, I've never done that. I did have to, on my old computer. No, it was actually this one. It was the original processor for the one I'm currently using. I got a, it was originally a loaner, but a CPU to just get it up and running. Well, the guy sent it to me, and he didn't send it packaged all that well. So I got the CPU and a good quarter of all the pins were bent. So I ended up spending a couple hours bending all the pins into a somewhat straight shape. And actually got the damn thing to work.
Nice. I wouldn't have even bothered. I would have just been like, hey, this showed up with like all of its pins bent. I'm just going to send it back. I don't want to break it trying to fix it. Like, I don't think I would have done that.
No. This was, it was going to be a few weeks before I was able to get a different processor. And this was him, not even bothering, it screwed up. Don't even bother. And I had nothing better to do. I wanted to see if I could do it.
Nice. I mean, that's why I do half the shit I do. Like, can I do this? Can I figure it out? So, I was, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast or not. I think I told you. I fixed my Minion's, her husband's Xbox controller.
Oh, yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah, I tore it down and I desoldered and resoldered some new rumble, the little rumble motors into it because they'd burned up. My soldering job was a mess. I'm not very good
maybe I should get a soldering
at making
gun.
pretty solder.
And be able to do some electronic repairs. Because the little nebulizer diffuser that I had, it died actually on Black Friday. It was like, the corporate gods are telling you, consume, because my diffuser broke, and my credit card company emailed me saying, hey, guess what? We're giving you a higher credit.
Nice. I don't do very much soldering. I want to do some more.
I didn't even send it in a warranty. I just emailed them saying, hey, I think the fan seized on it. I could see the, it's a ultrasonic one. So, it's like the water fountain. I could see it producing vapor, and all the lights on it work. It's just there's no airflow, and it's tough to see, but I think the fan is seized inside. And they said, oh, well, all right, we'll send you another one. So probably some sort of design flaw. So once I got the new one, and they said they didn't say they wanted the old one, I pulled the sucker apart, and it's actually a modular part. So I'm probably going to end up getting a different fan for it and see if I could fix it. It's basically a CPU fan. A little, didn't measure it, but it's a little like case fan. Really surprised me. I was expecting, it being just a fan on a motor or something.
That's cool.
So I am getting into my electronic repairs.
Yay.
I mean, I'm not buying phones for $20 yet, but
I still haven't successfully replaced the phone screen. I really fucked up that iPhone screen when I went to replace it.
Well, to be fair,
but I didn't know
be fair, Apple. There's a YouTuber I follow that he does Apple repair stuff, and the entire time he's just cursing Apple for how they do their design work.
Yeah, I mean, it was another one of those like, well, I'll buy this and see if I can do it. Why not? I was like, but after I bought the screen replacement, I was maybe $35 in on the phone, and I took the screen off. And the home button on at least the iPhone 5, probably all of them, has got like a little mechanism in it. And whenever you go to pull the screen off, if you don't have the right tool to put in the mechanism, the button like comes apart into multiple pieces. And it's just, I just was like, no, I'm not going to try and put this back together. Fuck it.
The home button exploded like a zit?
Kind of, yeah. So I just like threw it away. I was like, fuck it. Someone might fix this, but I'm not going to go through the effort of. I was mad at it, so I threw it away.
Yeah, I still need to replace the battery in mine. And I just looked at the process and thought, there's a very high possibility of me screwing this up because it involves a heat gun or hair dryer and latching onto it with a suction cup and pulling.
Oh, I've got one of those little suction cups. I mean, I've got the full set of tools to take a phone apart, put it back together.
Yeah, but this is my only phone. This isn't one I bought for $20.
I got my little spudger, and I got my teeny tiny screwdrivers, and I got my suction cup.
I have a set of precision screwdrivers. When I got my screwdriver set, I decided to spend another $5 and got the big screwdriver set. So I got hex screwdrivers. I got the cheapo set of precision screwdrivers.
You got the ones for the torque screws.
I got those.
The ones that are shaped like triangles.
Yeah, I think I got those.
I don't know what those are called.
Security screws.
Yeah, I've got.
It actually has hole punches in it for like leather or something that I used to help my neighbor unclog her vacuum.
Yeah,
because
these
she
are like
had
special
a hairball in her vacuum that was the size of a cat. Pretty sure she didn't own a cat, or at least anymore. But
yeah, these are very tiny screwdrivers, very very tiny.
But I think we're done on this topic. So if you wish to contribute to the community corner, you could send an email to us, vgopodcast@gmail.com. Assuming that still works, right? Or you can just tweet it to us at VGL Podcast on the Twitter. So, assuming you don't have to hit the elevator music.
Yeah, no, I'm good. We'll fly through this discovery queue, and
okay, well,
it'll be my bedtime.
Speaking of flying through the discovery queue, instantly a game.
You always get one instantly.
Well, I also pull up my discovery queue and have the first game loaded whenever we bring up the music. But my first game's usually a pretty good one, and it holds true again, or at least I should say a pretty good looking one. Mutant Year Zero: Road to Eden. I'm just going to.
Oh, I've seen that game here lately advertised. That looks
a tactical adventure game combining the turn-based combat of XCOM with story, exploration, stealth, and strategy. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
There are some people saying in the reviews that it has some balancing issues and some strong difficulty spikes. But it's also I would say, in the AA price range. It's released recently, and it's released December 4th for $35. So there's a good one right off the start.
Yeah.
I need to change a setting. I changed it for the Game Awards, and I ended up not watching on Valve or on Steam. I changed it so I was not seeing broadcast, but now... So, you got one?
Yeah, I'm copying the link in right now. Gotta get down there.
Oh, yeah, get down there.
Override Mech City Brawl.
I actually have review code for that.
Oh, nice. I mean, it's a mech game.
Yeah, it's a brawler. I have that actually already in my library. I didn't get around to play it because I've been busy. I've been busy behind the scenes.
Nice.
I've been a busy little bee.
But I mean, this looks like a fun, sort of wacky, bright and colorful mech brawler.
Yeah, I think
game.
the problem is going to be community because it's multiplayer focused.
Yeah. The one thing that I saw, like when I was reading through it, that made me go, huh. Well, that sounds like it'll be both horrible and awesome at the same time. It has 4-player co-op where each player controls one part of a mech. So depending on how that works out, I mean, it's probably going to be hilarious and also probably horrible in some way. But yeah, this looks cool.
Yeah, I never got around to playing that. I really should. But here's another game for me. This is actually my second on the queue. Edge of Eternity. Early access game, so your mileage may vary on this one, but it actually looks fairly pretty already. So they definitely have a good graphic style on this. It looks very Final Fantasy-ish, doesn't it? And
I haven't pulled it up
not
yet.
just on the generic JRPG, but I'm talking about just in general in the world design.
Edge of Eternity. Opening. Oh yeah, that's very JRPG.
well,
like right away.
Well, not just JRPG, but particularly I would say like Final Fantasy 13-ish.
Yeah.
Or even Final Fantasy 10-ish with some of the world design.
It's only $18.
Yeah.
Oh. I'll have to think about that for later. I have to think about it for later.
Yeah, and this is part of a larger franchise, I think. Oh, no, it's... I'm trying to figure that out. No, but wage epic turn-based battles as you follow Darian and Celine on their quest to find a cure to the all-consuming corrosion in this grand tale of hope and sacrifice. But yeah, very pretty looking. I'm not sure what the completion on this is. Let me just quickly look at this. Looks like they're focusing on a small portion of the game world. So essentially Divinity model where they're polishing the first area, I would assume, and building up from there, which is a double-edged sword if you pardon the turn of phrase there, since the main guy has generic JRPG big-ass sword. Where the original Divinity, the first area was very highly polished, very tight, and then the further you got in the game, the more it was obvious that it didn't have as much, love to it. But it looks like they're focusing on expanding it, let's see. They'll change the price on as it goes through early access, so you may want to jump on it if this is your jam right now.
Yeah, I'll have to think about it, but would definitely be all about that, I think.
Wow. Full release out of early access sometime in 2020. So long term.
Well, pros and cons. I mean, I guess they're, admitting it right off the bat instead of dragging
I just hope
it out.
that they're not planning on early access funding at all, Because that's also been a problem with early access games where they focus solely on getting the funding through the early access program to fund the actual development of the game. But if it doesn't take off right away or it gets a good start and then drops off, they're screwed. So you got another one?
Yeah. I got Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2. Did you like the first Battlefleet Gothic Armada game? Well, then you'll probably like this one.
So, I got another one. I got Beholder 2, which is the sequel to Beholder, which is... it's a game I didn't really care for, but I understand why people would like it. It's essentially a apartment manager mixed with Papers, Please, where you were spying on your tenants to determine if they are breaking laws for the regime. And while doing that, you had some moral choices on, do you turn these people in because, they're not bad guys. They're just happen to be breaking the law of the day. And as the game progresses, the laws got more and more complex. And I'm not sure if Beholder 2 continues that theme, but it does look like it does. But if you liked Papers, Please, you'd probably like this. So, just throwing it out there. It's not my thing, but yeah. Anyway, it sounded like you were excited for something.
Yes. Phantom Brigade. Phantom Brigade. Almost said it twice. This is a tactical turn-based mech combat game with, they say, in-depth customization of your mechs. This reminds me very much of Front Mission, the older Front Mission when it was turn-based, at least in the way that it looks, both in design and things like the way that the game seems to be presenting itself, and the couple of screenshots that they've got about like your mech bay and stuff like that. This makes me very happy. Obviously, I love my mech games. I'm a big stompy mech games. So, yeah, I'm very much into this. It's launch date to be determined. So I'm gonna keep my eyes on this one. I'm always up for a good turn-based strategy game with mechs involved. So.
Okay, so...
Yay, mechs. Then that was the last game in my queue, so that was a good one to go out on. I had 3, so...
I still have 8 remaining in my queue, including the one I'm pasting in now.
my queue was a lot of hot garbage with several.
Well, that's because you
very
play hot
good bright
garbage.
spots.
That's because you play a lot of hot garbage.
I've also been through 12,000 games or something like that
So,
on the
War of Rights.
Discovery queue.
War of Rights is a first-person multiplayer game with a focus on historical accuracy, set during the Civil War. Interesting time frame, all things considered, because you don't really see that many, especially with historical accuracy. And the game looks damn impressive already for being an early access title. Now, the question is, does it have the community? Because early access, right?
Yeah.
But
this looks interesting.
If you could get a group together for it, it'd be really impressive. It does seem like the game's still very rough though, but it looks pretty. But just because it's an early access niche title, I don't expect there to be a community for this. So unless you're willing to build one yourself, then this is going to be one of those just tragic wastes. To be perfectly honest, and I'm trying to get the highlights for the rest of my queue. I know. What is this? Okay. This looks interesting enough. So I skipped a couple that, if you weren't done, I would have probably grabbed. But 0-2 The Shattering, which is a civilization-like from the looks of things, with some sort of battle system as well. This looks really, really, really weird. It has built-in editors for the event. Well, let's just read the snippet part. In the Darklands, inspired by Slavic myth, life is a struggle to survive against ever-increasing odds, be it natural or malevolent. Can you lead your flock to prosperity in this innovative blend of Forex strategy, RPG, and card game? Okay, you have my attention.
That sounds weird, but in a good way.
Well, why I stopped was one of the screenshots shows the battle not playing out, just little figures bashing against one another, and whoever has the better numbers wins. But actually having for lack of a better term, I would say Elder Scrolls the Elder Scrolls game or card game, where it has the multiple lanes.
Yeah.
Or multiple lines, having that type of screenshot for a battle. Because I don't want to just call it Hearthstone and be done with it. It's not Dark Souls, so it's not all-encompassive of being a card game. But
I just heard my kid's door buzzer.
Uh-oh.
So I'm gonna go check on him, because when they got home, he was asleep and he went straight to his bed asleep. So he's probably going to be a little confused. You go ahead and finish up, and then I'll be back, and we'll wrap up.
All right, well, I'll stop on my next game. Anyway, since you were gone, I was able to get a little bit more time, and I would have skipped this game otherwise. But Battle Princess Madeline, essentially a love letter to the old Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Very hard hack and slash platformer with some actually fairly impressive pixel art on it, and some cutscenes. Essentially, just take Super Ghouls and Ghosts, replace the male protagonist with a female, and give her a ghost dog and some proper story cutscenes, and you have the Battle Princess. And according to the Steam store page, actually has a story mode by a professional children's author. So it sounds interesting, at least.
Sounds fancy.
Yeah, that was the.
I don't like it, but it sounds fancy.
Oh, did you ever play the old Super Ghouls and Ghosts?
I did not.
I didn't play much of them, but very entertaining, but very difficult game. But that was the last game on my queue. I got to the last game and I sat there and looked at it because I had time. But yeah,
gotcha.
That is the end of the Discovery queue, which leads us to the part of the podcast where you go first.
Indeed. So if you want to see the few random smatterings of things that I post on the YouTubes, you can do so by searching for my YouTube channel, Gaming Psychologist. If you want to follow me on Twitter, where I tweet about all kinds of things all the time at random intervals, you can do so by following me at JMA4707. And if you want to be my friend on Steam, where we can chat, I like to chat with all the lovely people and accept all the lovely friend requests from said lovely people. My Steam username is jarthur4707. Hit me up, ask me some questions. Who knows, maybe your question will be featured on the show. By the way, Eric, I'm blanking on your username right now, and I'm too lazy to go look it up. I think it's like Awesome Eric, or
so he's not Eric the Awful?
Something like that. No.
That was actually a Ray Stevens song.
Gotcha. But he was the person who asked the question that I answered in Community Corner today. So
I interrupted multiple times during your answer. But if you wish to let him know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from, the password for this week is Failure Conga.
Nice. That's a good one.
Failure Conga. I mean, I came up with it, so may as well use it, right?
I wonder what happens if I... So I wonder what happens if I...
no.
Giphy that on Steam Chat.
You've been enjoying that way too much.
It is so. Steam Chat has, for listeners who didn't know, which I assume most of you don't, because we didn't know until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, when you randomly found it.
Has got several slash features. You can do like a coin flip, do a random number generator, a few other things. My favorite one is you type /Giphy. Giphy, and then a word or series of words after that. It will send a random GIF to whoever it is that you're chatting with. So let's do /Giphy failure Conga.
Hey, it's Bethesda.
Yeah.
Is that Todd Howard?
For the visual gag on the audio podcast, it is Homer Simpson in a bathtub trying to scrub failure off.
The stink of failure is still on me. Appropriate, I would say.
Indeed. So what about you, buddy? Where can they find you on the interwebs?
Well, I run a YouTube channel, Gaming with Caffeine Rage, which has had a halting of content in the last, I guess, week or so, because... things I can't talk about just yet. So, that and just other projects. So, I will be restarting that. I'm going to get RimWorld back up and running. I do have a couple episodes of Spin Tires in the can, which I will get that, rationed out, because it's my fault that we didn't get much done last time, because I just ended up just being tired. What are you doing? Oh.
I just discovered that one.
I assumed the worst on you on that one.
Well, shame on you.
Can you blame me, really?
Can I? Keep talking.
Oh, boy. But yeah, I'll be restarting my content, and I really should try to get back up to full capacity, because, I've been at just partial capacity for ages now, just not sitting down and doing the proper recording. But Gaming with Caffeine Rage will be coming back up to full power before too long. Hopefully. At least, at worst, after the end of the year. So, but that's not too far off, actually. Speaking of content that I'm not doing as much as I should, I also have a Twitch channel, twitch.tv/caffeine_rage. And that's not caffeine, the word underscore in rage. That's caffeine, the mark underscore, and then rage. Just want to make that clear. Where I will stream occasionally. I intend to do some more Grim Dawn. Also, any games that I get review code, I may do. You're trying to spoiler your Giphy now, but you can't.
Yeah, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
And that's what you think for that.
Indeed.
But I'm planning on doing some more Grim Dawn, and to be able to talk about it either in the next episode or after the beginning of the year, and some other random games. I have some review code that I could do, and we'll see what pops up there. But if you wish to if you don't want to hunt down my channel but want to know when I'm streaming anyway, I'll also tweet out occasionally when I'm streaming or my other random thoughts. That's over at Gaming with CR. I'm actually about a year behind on my memes because I just did a perfectly balanced meme today. Because I was rather frustrated trying to rebalance my checkbook because, I bought a few things from Amazon and Amazon breaks purchases down by vendor. And that's annoying to try to double check things whenever you have one order and you look on your bank statement and there's 7 different transactions and you're trying to figure out just where you forgot to carry the 3.
Yep. Glad I don't really have anything to do with that.
I mean,
if Katie ever wanted to like just fuck me over, I would be screwed. She has like, I mean, I don't know any of our shit. I trust you, babe, completely. Just doing this whole life thing together. Anyways,
yeah. Got off my spiel there. Let's see. But yeah, tweet out occasionally, just random things, random thoughts. And also I tweet out when I do my Twitch stuff. So you can follow me over there to see what I'm up to. And speaking of up to, well, we are up to the ending. So that means I scroll all the way back up to the beginning of the document because that makes a lot of sense. Once again, if you wish to contact us, you could do so vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, gaming-related topics, or questions, or just tweet them to us over at VGL Podcast on the Twitter. Our lovely, lovely patrons help pay for this podcast. And by help, we mean completely, right?
Absolutely.
Patreon.com/VGL Podcast is our Patreon campaign. And we really should update that. We've been meaning to for ages. For more tiers and to rehash some of the tiers for more interesting rewards. We actually talked about that ages ago and we never implemented it because we meant to have another business meeting and never got around to it. Whoops. Really should do that soon. Probably around the first of the year though, right? Because holidays.
Yeah.
But check out over there to be able to see what you could do. Or if you wish to check us out, if you're catching us through just some random means as we float around the internet, our website is vglpodcast.podbean.com, which hosts the RSS feed as well as our show notes, but you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, and all sorts of places. And there was it was Amazon that was doing a podcast as well recently. We needed to get on that, don't we?
Pandora. We're not. I've looked into that.
We're not big enough?
No, they make it convoluted and difficult as hell to sign up. So I just I looked into it and I haven't taken the time to go through the process to do so yet.
Well, speaking of the process, let's continue on. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and our Discovery BQ music is Doobly Doo by the same artist. His work can be found at incompetech.com, and
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See ya.